Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this Last of Us Part 2 Spoilercast. My name is Felipe.
And I'm Elmo. And it's not just a spoiler cast. We're going to do a little bit of, it's sort of an in-depth review as well.
This is our first time kind of really doing this. We're kind of just putting it out there, see how it all goes. We are not pros at this by any means. But
One
we
day.
do... Oh, no, of course. But we do really enjoy this game, and we do enjoy talking about games, and we just decided, let's put this together and see what happens. So, as the name implies, spoilers from here on out. We hope you enjoy, and just let us know if you have any thoughts at the end. Make some comments. Just let us know how we're doing and see what we can do to improve. Let's get right to it.
Right to it.
What did you think of The Last of Us Part 2?
I think The Last of Us Part 2 is a phenomenal piece of art. A very, very interesting piece in the not zombie genre, because in Last of Us 1's pre-promotional material, they were talking about they're not zombies.
Okay.
So, incredibly interesting, but I think if I were to give my overall thought, I would say this is a game that has shown how far the medium has come, but how behind the times it is as well.
Curious to hear you expand on that
I know
a little bit
we
more.
will hear expanded thoughts on that.
Is that why we're here?
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
And yourself?
I think this is a masterpiece of a video game. This game has made me...
Masterpiece.
Yes. With the M. Yeah. There you go. This game has made me feel, think, and ponder long after I've finished the game, long after I turned it off for the night. It just stays in your mind throughout while I'm trying to sleep, while I'm at work, and while I'm playing other games, comparing it. This game is fantastic. Sorry if you felt...
It's
if you heard all that.
expertly made, but I do think it's... What does a masterpiece mean to you? I think is a good question I should ask. Because to some that might be like, oh, it's without flaw.
No games without
What
flaw.
is a masterpiece?
If what it's trying to do, if it nails that, whether it does it to your liking or not, if that game does what it's trying to accomplish, and it does it well, and not even well, but extraordinarily well, then I think that's a masterpiece.
I mean, you're someone who doesn't even like 3D Mario games, so... And those are masterpieces. And
You think so?
yeah.
I've only played a couple. I don't know.
Pretty good.
I don't have too much to...
Masterpiece.
Okay.
You know,
I played
One
Mario
Piece?
64. That was pretty
That's
good.
pretty good.
Yeah. Ba, 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 ba. Something like
We'll
that.
put
right?
the sound in later.
Okay. Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah.
Now, I feel like your definition of masterpiece, it does apply here,
There's more to
That's
it.
what
That's
you're
all I can think
saying,
of in the moment.
but it definitely, I think there are, because again, as I said before, it does, I think, push the genre the medium of video games,
Yep.
but it also shows just how in its infancy this medium is. Which I know we have a little structure here, and we'll get to that
Okay.
later in our structural organization here.
All right. So ultimately, you're positive on this game.
Yeah, I'm positive.
Okay. As you could probably tell, I'm very positive on this game.
You're more positive than I am.
So let's talk about what we're not so positive on.
Okay.
What didn't you like about The Last of Us?
Length.
Part. Oh, okay. I can't agree with you there.
What was your end playtime?
Oh boy, I probably should have prepared that. I want to say it was 29 hours.
Okay, that was I think mine was like 28 and a half
Change,
or so.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I find myself thinking, like, could pieces have been cut, and would it still have done what it set out to do? Because I started thinking, like, okay, I think it's too long.
Yeah.
I think some of the requests the developers make here, or Naughty Dog makes, is incredibly large. To expect, the player...
Getting choked up thinking about it.
Yeah, especially the certain parts. But for what Naughty Dog expects from you, I will just go out and say it. When you get to the end of day 3 with Ellie,
Okay.
and it ends with Abby pointing a gun at Ellie, to know you're not going to get any sort of, like, what's the word I'm looking for? You're not going to get
resolution.
Yeah, you're not going to get any resolution from that for another 8-9 hours. I don't know the specific hour count, but it's going to be a long time. You're going to watch several. The length of several movies is going to take place before you ever get that situation resolved, and that's a huge request. Because even if a movie were to pull that off, like, this is, again, about 8 or so hours.
Yeah, there's a lot more
to expect you to just be like, all
2 hour
right,
time.
Get rid of all your upgrades, get rid of, the character that you've been, possessing this whole time.
Yeah.
And this person that they wanted you to hate. They did not want you to like Abby.
No, and they succeeded.
So to throw that, so to throw that on you is just a huge request that if someone were to not like it, I could not blame them.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotcha. I definitely agree with you on the length. There were certain parts, specifically regarding Abby's playthrough, that I feel could have definitely been trimmed down and made it a much tighter experience. Mm-hmm. It still would have been a long time before you got that resolution that it left everyone wanting to see. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I still liked that time. But yes, it could have been trimmed.
Remember the hotel when they're going on the sky bridge that that the Seraphites somehow made and no one ever knew?
Yeah. Well, they were high up, and it's foggy a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of clouds.
Yeah.
The cumulus clouds,
it's
too.
Seattle.
I don't know about the
It's always raining.
Clouds. But it's like, Twilight, Forks.
Mm-hmm.
But they have you go down, like, that whole building.
Yeah.
There's a very long part of that game.
There could have been just a little elevator chute or something that could have eliminated a couple floors, and I would have been fine with that.
And Naughty Dog games excel when they have you with another person and you're getting like that interaction and character building. So that's when I pause and I think, well, what would I cut? Because I would say every time that those characters spoke to each other, I'd be like, all right, I'm in. I love what I'm hearing.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't love playing it all the time. And which is, I feel like is the wrong phrase for me to say. Because I did enjoy the gameplay a lot. But there were just parts where I'm like, I just want to see when she gets to the movie theater. When she points the gun at Ellie.
Well, although I can see again why people would not like that, especially, like you said, just waiting to see what happens. I mean, that's quite a cliffhanger to leave off of.
Is it wrong to say that's more than 8 hours? Because if it took you 20, it took both of us almost 30 hours.
I'd believe it. I mean, I wouldn't argue that.
It's a big request.
It definitely felt like more. I don't know what the actual time was, but yeah, for them to leave you hanging like that and to feel that want to go back to it, although that's considered a negative to a lot of people, which we'll get into later, I think that just shows the strength of the story that they built, and you wanted to see it through. But they're like, you gotta wait a second there, mister.
Mister. We're not waiting a second. You were waiting
a lot of seconds.
A lot of seconds.
But just a testament to how great that story is and just how much you like these characters.
Is it that great of a story? That first half?
It's very straightforward.
So to say.
But that's why I like The Last of Us Part 2, and I like that they call it a Part 2. It's still just a continuation of the first. It's not so much a sequel. I
don't know. This game feels like Part 3, 4, and 5 more than Part 2.
Well, there's definitely some time in between, but I think you got enough of Joel and Ellie, her being the age that she's at, and Joel, in the first game.
How old is she? Like 19?
I looked up. Yeah, I think she's 19.
Okay.
Yeah, I for some reason I thought she was 22 the whole time.
The same here.
Okay, but listening to other people discuss the game and just doing some research after the fact, she's 19, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. No, I pause when you say it's a great story, because I think at that point it was definitely compelling and interesting, but I wouldn't say it was a great story yet, because so much of what you are, in my opinion, calling a great story is like you're including everything when you say that. Now,
of course.
But at that point...
Oh, you mean everything after that?
Well, when they make that request, you don't have all that context from the latter half of the game.
What request?
The request that, hey, you're not going to get resolution
for
several hours. and we're gonna again take away everything from you in terms of your. I was really annoyed that I started walking slowly while listening again because I had like upgraded Ellie in that direction.
Oh,
where
okay.
holding L1 and
Actual
listening,
gameplay.
was the main way I handled everything, for better or for worse.
I did not.
I did. I was that button was held down the whole time almost. I'm joking, but it definitely was a lot, and I just to start walking so slowly again as Abby.
Yeah.
It frustrated me more. It almost took away some of the narrative to me because then I wasn't mad at Abby for what she did. I was mad for how slow she walks when you hold L1. But they bring the upgrades to you at a good. They bring the upgrades to you at a good pace.
Oh yeah.
By the end of day one, you've got all the upgrade trees.
Yeah.
And so that was fine for me. But just at the beginning, I was like, oh, here we go. And I had texted you saying, they just did something. I don't know how to feel about it, but I don't like it at the moment. But I'm willing to like.
Yeah, that was before I got to.
And I actually really like Abby. So it's.
You mean at this point?
By the end.
By the end.
So it's not like I'm like bitter that they took away Ellie from me and all this.
Okay.
But I do think they lied in the marketing for this game.
Oh yeah.
And lied is maybe too strong of a term.
They definitely hit some things and did a little sleight of hand. Some
have
magic.
You played Metal Gear Solid 2? Or do you know anything about that?
I am aware of the comparisons.
Because they definitely did that.
Yeah.
But it's as if they went even further than Kojima did with Metal Gear 2.
For those that don't know what he's referring to, and I haven't played the game, but apparently Metal Gear Solid 2, the marketing was all like, "Hey man, you're Snake again. Let's get to it." And then I
spoilers
assume,
you're about to say.
Oh, sorry, yeah, spoilers for the freaking 15-plus-year-old game. Apparently, at one point you switched gameplay. Actually, I heard relatively soon.
It's
okay.
You do one. You do the
see,
equivalent.
I didn't even know that.
You do one mission as Snake, and
geez.
then he's gone.
Oh, yeah, and then you're playing as Raiden, who eventually got his own game.
I forget.
No, it's Raiden.
Okay.
I think.
Because you play PlayStation All Stars.
I say it all. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
Those menus though.
The
garbage. Anyway, we're talking about what we didn't like, and I feel like I'm veering into I liked Abby territory.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I should stop.
Okay.
But it was a big request. I don't think it would be mean to say if you are someone who didn't like this, I understand.
See, but here's the thing with that, and why I keep bringing it back to at least my quick interpretation of what a masterpiece is. I'm pretty sure that was intentional. Like you said earlier in the podcast, Spoilercast, they definitely made sure you hated Abby. So you know that you know that they knew that the players were not going to be thrilled about suddenly playing as this character that's been painted out to be just this terrible person. And I think, again, that was intentional. So although you're saying I can see why someone didn't like it, I can almost guarantee almost everyone didn't like it, at least at different levels. I think ultimately, like, again, without getting too much into it, ultimately you ended up liking, like myself, what they were trying to do with Abby. But in the beginning, I was not happy. I was like, I know what they're trying to do here, and I doubt they're going to do it. I was wrong. But because they were able to nail something that I can almost guarantee almost everyone didn't like, I think that's pretty incredible. That they made it the way they did, like purposely, and still made it flow correctly with the story. They
pulled it off, but was there any point when you played this that you disliked Ellie?
Yeah. I mean, you mean up until this point or later?
Up until this point. I feel like her...
Not really.
Her quest for revenge, like, I will say there were more than a few points where I was like, why is she doing this? Like, I know it's Joel and everything, but why? And it doesn't help that, like, you're killing by the end of day 2, you've killed over like 4 dozen people. So, and maybe that's an exaggeration. but you do a lot of combat encounters in this game, and it just. I know Uncharted, I think 3 or 4 had a trophy called ludonarrative dissonance, which is like the game not accounting for what the story not accounting for what you're actually doing during gameplay.
Spoilers for Uncharted.
Well, it's just a trophy.
Oh, okay.
It's like when you get that for killing 1,000 enemies.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I remember that.
So it's just like that's a lot of murder.
Yeah.
And you're committing just so much murder. And the more realistic these games try to go, the more that this ludonarrative dissonance concept happens. And I just felt like she's doing so much. And the game tries to push you in that direction. It's like people talking about like, oh yeah, I just want to go home and, I just want to drink a beer. Or there was one point where someone talks about, yeah, I just want to see my daughter. And it's like, all right, I know what you're doing, game.
Yeah.
But you're not making me like Ellie. And I would say the writing for her character is a little bare bones.
I mean, that's the whole point, I think, of revenge. There's not much to it. That's why it's ultimately seen as a negative thing in movies. Like and we've seen this time and time again whenever there's a revenge story. Even if they do somehow get to that point where they get the revenge, they don't feel much better afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And
how many
and
times
that's,
have you seen that scenario play out in movies like you're mentioning?
What do you mean?
Like you're mentioning like movies, like you've learned, and this like sort of story just happens so often that I think like you're explaining it perfectly. Like, hey, revenge just begets more revenge. Like, it creates like a cycle. And is that a very interesting topic for this game to hit when it's hit by so many other stories?
When you say it that way, no. But they do a little something at the end, which we'll get into, that I think expands that topic a little bit further than most movies hit. Because remember, most of the times when we see this, usually it's a movie, usually it's a show, and they don't have that much time to really get into, especially movies because they're shorter.
Movies are not 29 hours.
No. But this game is, and you feel it for some of it. So, I mean, I guess should we get into?
I mean, we're still talking about instances
what we don't like,
pieces we don't like, and I think 1 point of 5 that I've got written down here.
What's okay?
So maybe we'll wait for that because I feel like that we're getting into when I'm bringing up a game called Spec Ops: The Line.
Okay.
How long has the fungal apocalypse been happening at this point? Like, how many years?
Oh boy,
has it been? Because it happens when Joel is maybe in his 20s or 30s. Because his daughter Sarah is definitely like not a toddler.
No, she was. I mean, she was like, I would say she was like 9 or 10,
yeah.
11 maybe.
We'll say 10 just to keep it a round number. But
I like 11.
How much time has the fungal apocalypse been happening? Because the deep dark end that the Seraphites end up going into, like this is pretty like deep and cultish kind of like thinking that it's so aggressive and like anti-technology that I feel like that sort of religion would pop up maybe 100 years after civilization falls. But the idea that it happens like 20 years after,
you gotta keep in mind, regardless of fungal apocalypses or any kind of apocalypses, there's already people to this day that are already kind of a little on the, I don't want to say nutty, but could venture off into that territory when it comes to religion and their interpretation of whatever they read of the end of the world and
anti-maskers.
God. Yeah, that there's definitely a division of what I'm talking about. But I don't buy too. That doesn't puzzle me too much as it apparently is.
Lev talks about I forget her name. What's their Jesus equivalent? I forget her name. I think it's an L or an M, and I wish I could recall it at the moment.
It's been a bit.
But he's like, he's telling Abby like, we're not all violent. If you just looked at her teachings, you'd understand us better. I'm like, how long has she been giving these teachings? It just seems like this lady set in motion this religion that we have no understanding of, really. And I thought when I'm playing as Abby, like by day 2, I'm like, oh, okay, they're going to make me understand the scars. I don't mean to make it sound like I'm mocking it.
Right.
But I was like, all right, they're going to make me sympathize with the
you were
scars.
already in that mood because of they're trying to make you like Abby. Like, you knew what they were trying to do.
But they never do it. The scars all suck. And then you go into...
All of them?
All but 2.
Okay. I was about to say.
All but 2. And it's
it.
just... And if people like Lev and Yara exist, then there's going to be more. Like, undoubtedly, at least in the back of their minds. So for them to not do anything, I think, deep with the scars or seraphites, it makes me only question even more, like, the writing. And, like, this is maybe a little too deep. These people are a little too deep in their religion for how relatively little time has passed.
Okay.
And we spend so little time in Jackson. Is that the name of where Ellie lives?
Yeah, that's what they call it.
You spend such little time in Jackson that... And that place almost seems like a utopia. Like, oh, everyone's nice to each other. But when you're not nice and you say homophobic slurs, well, Maria's going to make you make a sandwich. And it's almost like... That almost didn't seem like enough of a punishment.
No.
For that guy.
I think they see enough violence out in the world that they...
You'd think there'd be no place for that. Like, hey, there's so much else going on. Like, with the world.
Yeah. I mean, we could always pick apart small things like that. But, like, ultimately, this world, they're trying to get to, like, back to how things used to be. But there's clearly things that are just off. So, and some people, they just can't accept it. So when someone goes back to kind of like the primal instincts of being just kind of a douche or a jerk, especially when you're there in front of everybody trying to make it seem like it's normal, going anything further than punishing them just, verbally, because that's still embarrassing, to the guy that, what was the dude's name? Freaking chef?
I can't remember.
Whatever.
For some reason.
Unimportant. Yeah, you called him out in front of everybody, made a scene, made me some food. What are you gonna do? Like, what would you think? What would have been the better punishment to you that would still keep it?
It's just the way Maria handled it was like, hey, we're done with this, right? Like, we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like we're so, like, by the time when did the fungal apocalypse happen? I keep calling it that. I don't know if they have a term for it.
If I'm not mistaken,
it
was technically in real time. I think when the first game actually came out, which I believe was 2013.
Okay. Yeah. So if I'm thinking of society, it's just even by that point we were getting more gay friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay,
for civilization to go in the direction that it does in this game, and then to have Maria just be like, all right, don't be mean to homosexuals. It just seemed like that wasn't enough.
Well, that's all we saw, though.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? There's going to be more conversations, but that's not the point of the story. At least at this time.
Their gay characters, our gay protagonist is dealing with this, and we get so little of Jackson that when that's one of the main points, it makes me question just how Maria definitely seemed like the leader of this place.
I mean,
was she the boss?
I mean, that's the president they sent in the first game. It was her and Tommy kind of really running things. Okay. So
it just makes me question just how, I'm trying to find the right way to phrase it, but it just makes me question how that place is being run. And then we never go back to Jackson, so we never really get more. So just when it comes to the cult, when it comes to Jackson, we get so little of like the world itself of Last of Us. And we get so little, I think, personally, of characterization for Ellie that I think they were so stuck on this dual narrative that they were trying to tell that Abby, great. She's one. I love that character, but it almost came at the disservice of everything else around her. And I think that's a bigger issue than maybe we can discuss right now. Okay. But it's like we cut the heads off all these other situations to make Abby better and give her more time. That it makes me understand even more why someone would not love Abby when the whole point was they want you to like her by the end of her section. And this all takes away. And for a game that's 30 hours, at least for both of us.
Yeah.
We're going on 30 hours. For me to not understand the world so much, and for me to not understand Ellie even so much, it's what did we do in that 30 hours?
Well, again, this is part 2. I already understand the world. This was a continuation of the first game. They did a fantastic job of building the world there. I feel like in that small little trip you did as Ellie and Dina walking around through the town, I think that was plenty that you needed to know. What else is there to understand in this world? We already know kind of what's going on, and now we see this glimpse of a pretty nice looking life in Jackson. So I don't really see your point there.
I mean,
as to why you don't understand it, because
it's just
that was already
of,
established.
It seems like a lack of depth, and the world I'm mentioning is what life in Jackson is like, and this cult or this religion.
Well, definitely,
neither in Last of Us 1.
I can see what your point is on the cult, but that's not what we're there to learn. And that's just something you go through in the game, but mostly as Abby, of course. You're not really there to see their world. You pretty much only know your own world, which is Jackson.
Well, they definitely were building, at least when it comes to the cult, they were building towards... I'm under the impression there had to be way more of that island that the Seraphites lived on.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have a degree in English, so I feel like I have some knowledge on writing. Not saying that my opinion is better or worse, but the way that I interpreted what they were saying, they bring up and they show you the images of their leader. They have Lev bring up, hey, not all of us are bad. You just haven't, if you read her writing, they build up.
And he pretty much, with the assumption of it's how you interpret those teachings.
Right.
And since she has passed, people took those interpretations and kind of really made them
in a very short amount of time
violent. Well, did they say how long ago that she's been passed?
I don't recall, but I think it would have.
I guess not that long, because if he was saying that
graffiti was in pretty good condition on the walls and the paintings of her.
Yeah, I guess so.
Very well
it
done.
must have been a couple years, because didn't Lev say that he met her or something, or saw her teach once or something?
I don't recall.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't a large gap in time. And it makes me wonder, what was she like that they relied on her so much? I think it would have been cool if what if she was immune?
I legit thought we were gonna get a flashback or something with her as a real person, or we're gonna find out that she wasn't dead or something. But we didn't. And as we were saying earlier, it's already a pretty lengthy game. So how much more of that do you really need? I feel like my journey through that whole Seraphite area gave me enough. Definitely left you with some answers, because I don't think the game's there to answer every single question you have.
But they raise a lot of questions that in 30 hours you don't. I feel like you don't even get half of the answers.
I mean, with either as Ellie or as Abby, you're not really there to find these answers. You're there to get from point A to point B, to take Lev wherever he needs to go, and Yara and whatever.
Then why bring it up? Why start building towards, hey, they're not all that bad, and then do nothing with it?
I mean, that's kind of just like a given. I mean, you're obviously hanging out with these two kids who are, still young and innocent, and have a different view of the world. I think that was just kind of goes without saying that not everyone is bad. I mean, children aren't. I mean, well, there's some bad children out there, but everyone starts out a certain way, and it's the environment you're raised in which makes you bad. So I feel like with the environments that we're going through and all these scary whistles and means of communications and just dark and dreary areas, that can mold any person into a relatively bad.
I mean,
especially when you're now being taught this new interpretation of teachings you once thought were biblical.
It just, for such a long game, I feel like I would get more answers. That's all. And they stuck so closely on the Abby narrative, then I just feel like other parts were lacking. And just, if we're going to spend 30 hours, I would have gotten more.
I will say that, to your point, and again, I don't need these answers, but if they were to trim some of Abby's fat, like from her story, she was definitely not fat.
She's jacked.
She is, man. Arm goals. That's what I have written down in my notes. Arm goals.
Well, that's when we get to parts we like.
Yeah, true that. My bad. This is still a negative. My bad. There's just so much to like. Keep seeping through. If they were to remove, I think, which is my main criticism with the game, just Abby's scenes just felt way too long.
I mean, they were just as long as Ellie's.
Well, I know, but the thing is, you already like Ellie. Well, for the most part, most people do.
The longer the game went, I think the less I liked her.
That's what some people say, and I get it, especially her choices after the fact.
Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't even like the Nora part, and like it makes you press square to.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much torture her.
We'll get into that.
It was everything with after that point. Okay, well, you said we'll get to it. How do you think this game would have worked since they were going to lie in the marketing anyway, what if you played as Abby first?
Was that something you would have done? Is this how you would rearrange things?
I've thought a lot about how this could get rearranged, because part of me was like, well, what if it was Ellie, Abby, like a split? Like you played Ellie day one, then Abby day one.
I wouldn't mind that. But
they chose the framing for a reason.
I still understand why they did it the way they did. So it's like, just because it would change my enjoyment of the resolutions, like selfishly to me, if we were to do it that way, I still don't know if that's ultimately the best way to tell that story. Because although I'm like dying to know what happens, like that's again why at least the Abby scenes felt longer than they, I assume, actually were. It's because you really want to see what happened with this freaking theater,
which makes me think even more a Ellie Abby split like immediately between days would have worked in their favor in terms of patience from the audience, because again it's a big request to say, hey, you're gonna, and I play JRPGs a lot, like I know, all right, I'm in this I played Persona 5 Royal after being Persona 5 a few years ago, and it's like, all right, I'm in for 90 plus hours of this. Like I got patience, so I know I'm good. Yeah. But if even I'm getting like anxious, I just can't imagine people who are like, I'm gonna pick up this big game that Sony's selling me.
But we did.
We did. Yeah. But we're not the
a lot of
the
people
general
did. It's doing great
audience.
right now.
I do wonder how many people stopped.
Yeah, I would be curious to see the numbers on that as well.
The game is long. People have responsibilities. We both got kids.
Yeah.
And they're relatively
we managed to do
young.
That. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep going here. To correlate with the cult part though, what did you think of the handling of Lev's mom?
It seemed like a huge afterthought.
Okay.
Kind of like, hey, you know what? We gotta give him a reason to go back to that just for this little section. And your trip with Lev through the buildings and stuff. I believe it was through the buildings when you kind of find out more of what's going on with him and well, how it used to be she and how everyone in the cult, which mirrors a lot of religions nowadays, which is still very like supposed to be straight kind of deal. The mom being a reason of fear, and same with the reason they had to leave is because he shaved to be a he, to be live their life. It was definitely interesting, but then we walk into that house and she's already dead, and it's like, I mean, I believe him, but like, I mean, at that point, like, it was in my mind, like, wait, did he just kill her?
It reminded me of like sometimes in shows that I think you can relate to, like You,
okay,
and Ozark. People are very fragile.
You, I'm like me. Like,
no, the show You. From Lifetime to Netflix, that You.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Where you put on a hat and a jacket and you've got ultimate stealth.
Instant stealth.
Yeah. But people are incredibly fragile and will die in the simplest of ways. And the way that Lev described it was like, I don't recall the exact words, but to me it felt like the equivalent of, we were arguing and she tripped. And then there's this bloody mess on the floor.
The way I remember it, and again, I'm a little removed from it.
I'm replaying it now with my
Yeah.
wife, and we're not there yet, so it's not as fresh in my brain.
Yeah, to reiterate, it's been like 2-3 weeks for me since I last beat it. I don't remember.
And I beat it like a week ahead of you.
Right. If I remember correctly, he said that she was already abusing him, already into the point where he was trying to talk her down, and was saying, whatever, like stop. So he said, from what I remember, it was get off of me, and pushed her away because obviously it was getting rough. And that's what I understood. Mm-hmm. So technically, he landed the killing blow, but obviously very accidental.
That death fell right into his hand. Like, it just felt like that's...
Yeah, but again, not handled well. I would have preferred to have seen that.
Was she not like a
maybe
bloody
not
mess?
seen it.
Was it not like...
I don't think they got too graphic with it. I think there was definitely like if I remember, a little puddle of blood there, but like her head wasn't like destroyed. It was probably
it wasn't like the one guy with his mouth ripped open, the
God.
Joker.
Oh, at the end?
Which that's another problem, and maybe I should go to that
cool.
next, because it's these other points are more fun than I haven't written
more
down.
Fun, but still in the negatives category?
Yeah. To finish this point off, I do wonder what a transgender person takes out of the Lev storyline. Okay.
I will say, did that fool you? That he was a she?
I did think there were a few points I was like looking at the model when I was playing as Abby. I'm like, wait, did we say a gender? I don't remember. And Lev was ambiguous enough, and I questioned it, but then I was like,
I knew from the beginning.
Then I heard a he eventually.
Yeah, I knew from the beginning, and they kept saying boy, but every time, I forgot the exact quote, but every time Abby would say something to Lev about being, wow, you are a tough little boy, but it sounded too on the nose to repeat the gender, so I was like, yeah, but that's not. And again, not to offend anyone, but I don't know, this is a slippery slope, but I'm like, that's not a born boy. Like, that never fooled me. So they kept saying it. I'm
like Kratos.
Boy. Another fantastic game. Yeah, so to me that was never part of the thing, but they did commit, and I'm like, eventually they're gonna bring this up. So when Lev said, yeah, I left because I shaved my head, I was like, Abby's like, oh, I guess you don't want to tell me. I'm like, no, you just said it. He shaved his head. He's trying to become a boy, and that's not. Because I knew it was part of the cult. So I don't know. That whole thing with me didn't fool me much, but not that was what they were trying to do. I think for those, especially nowadays, it's very common and accepted. Transgenders, and it's very in the news a lot.
Accepted is a strong word.
No, but compared
opinions.
Yeah, no, of course.
I mean, since in the last decade,
it's at an all-time high now. I mean, it's everywhere. So to me, I guess that's a good thing that I thought of it as just like that I knew what was going on already, and not in a negative way. I just kind of knew. So I don't know how did that again. You said you were kind of questioning it. I didn't question it. I knew right away.
Replaying it again,
and even the voice too was a little different.
Replaying it again, you do get little hints. They're like, oh, I can't believe I forget Lev's birth name.
Lily.
They do mention a Lily at the beginning, like on day 2 with Ellie. You hear in the background like, oh, you hear what Lily did.
Oh, okay.
I can't believe her. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but I remember also when Lev was with Abby, I was probably in the building.
They do mention Lily.
Yeah, he's like, did you hear what they called me?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I actually didn't, but I wish I did, so I'd be like, I knew it. But I did. But, I just wanted more validation.
I remember
what I got.
I was transitioning to one point that was less fun.
Okay.
There are 3... how do I say this? There are 3 characters in this game that are black. And they are the 3 most notable black characters in this game. And they all die in pretty gruesome ways. And I don't think that was intentional. But I do think, especially with everything going on in the last few months and everything, like,
of course,
which has been going on for so long in reality, but whether it was purposeful or not, I do think it was irresponsible to have your 3 main black characters, and calling them main characters, I think is giving them too much credit, because one of them I'm thinking of is the guy Abby kills in the burning village. Where his jaw's hanging off.
Oh, okay.
So that's, and then there's Nora and Isaac.
Yeah, I was thinking with Nora, I'm like, is she black? Is she like mixed?
I thought she was.
I didn't think she was at first, but then at one point
they played rap music before you kill her. So
did they?
Which was funny. I forget.
I heard about that. I don't remember it in the. I might not have been paying attention.
It felt like someone who's maybe a little more critical would have problems.
Okay.
And as someone who's not black, I won't pretend that I can understand,
okay,
the being within that culture and feeling that way, but I can imagine someone feeling that way, and I do think it's something that they should worry about in the future.
Yeah, and of course, this game takes 4 or 5 years probably to make. I'm sure that's more. Not something they were. I'm sure now in the grand scheme of things, how things are going, in the middle of all these movements, they probably would have rethought of that a little differently.
I mean, but a lot of those movements were happening before last.
Yeah, but not to this extent. Not to this crazy extent nowadays.
Globally,
you can't. Not that you're trying to, but you can't really escape it. It's everywhere, which is good. Layers of
it just felt
awareness and
like
stuff.
No one thought back and questioned that at all. I do wonder just what happened there. Maybe wonders are too strong.
I gotta pull up these demographics for Seattle and see what the ratio is. I guess.
No, I remember reading some forum posts and someone was complaining about that, but it just seemed like there should be more strong minority characters. Because even Manny, he's like, "Oh man, I was getting that chica last night," like. And
I like my anime food.
It's just like if anyone who was a minority was clearly not considered a
priority.
A priority, yeah.
And there was those rhymes. As a fellow Hispanic, I didn't have too big a problem with Manny. I definitely didn't like him just because dude spit on Joel. What the hell? But once you got into his character and whatever, I think they did fine. I would like to see more. I would like to see more Latinos take the light. But there's a good start. I think this year or last year.
I wonder how he came from Mexico to Seattle.
Life is Strange 2. Oh. You played that one yet?
I think it's on Game Pass.
Oh, I gotta get on it, man. It's so good.
I will. One day.
But anyways.
I beat the first one.
But yeah, I agree with you. The minorities were a little... certain minorities were... I mean, you got the...
Dude, there's no Hispanic... Shadows of the Damned is like the only Hispanic protagonist I can even think of. And that's not a very major game.
Wasn't one of like the Red Dead's like some dude named... Oh, wait, what about Just Cause?
Rico Rodriguez.
Rico! I don't play
Those are games I've started and make it an hour in. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, same. 25 minutes.
But just... Again, and this goes more into what I was saying in our overall thoughts. It shows how far we've come, but how far behind this medium is. And I want to bring this up. Eugene, did he narc on Joel? He has Firefly, like a Firefly necklace when Ellie and Dina stumble upon his weed.
Yeah, right.
In the basement or whatever. We don't know who tipped Abby off on where Joel was. But was that them trying to make a connection there? That Eugene guy?
I never thought of it that.
With his Firefly, he had ties to the Fireflies. I don't know how soon he died. Did they pull up
the Firefly? Was that part of the main story? Or is that something you just saw on the table or something?
It's
the
mentioned.
Firefly Planet. Oh yeah.
It's mentioned. If you pick it up, I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha.
I don't know if it forces you to pick it up, but you do pick it up, and
it's like collectible or something.
I didn't know he was a Firefly.
Okay.
So.
I mean,
Eugene.
I'm sure with more playthroughs and more discussions, we can probably find closer to the answer. Okay. But honestly, in all of my Spoilercast, no one's ever mentioned that.
Okay.
So you might be onto something.
2 other points that I didn't like because I want to get to the positive. I hated that they pulled the Tomb Raider where your female protagonist gets caught in something and then gets impaled.
Oh,
like Ellie was in
Ellie? Oh,
she's in such bad shape already. Like that was not needed.
No,
And
man,
if
but
anything,
that's what I'm telling you.
It hurts the believability for me. I'm like,
Wait, what do you mean? You can't believe someone can get impaled?
I can believe someone can get impaled,
All
yes.
right, then
but for her to
go.
then be hung upside down for at least half an hour, I don't know how long it was.
Yeah, it sounded like
I
it was
do
a
remember
while.
the sun being in a different position. Like time had passed. She blocked out. And now, she's going to go on this murderous rampage after being impaled. And Tomb Raider,
she wasn't walking straight.
Tomb Raider did that as well. Or the first one of that reboot.
Yeah.
And they at least addressed it 5 hours later in that game where she's like, all right, I gotta get some, I gotta get like this really hot metal on there to cauterize it, if that's the term. And it just, I was like, it just felt like, all right, we're just trying to make, it felt needless.
Add more stakes to the
It was
situation.
already high stakes. She's running into this camp. She doesn't know.
She got stung by a snake.
It just, that was dumb. I rolled my eyes and I was like, this was too much. Too much sugar on the ice cream.
I see where you're coming from. Okay. But that's just how you say it's dumb and it doesn't add anything. I just think how much is this chick willing to endure to see this through?
But we got that already.
But this is more. That's what I'm saying.
It was redundant.
I don't think it took away from anything. I think it just all right.
Well, it
this
never comes
lady's...
up again either. Like it's not it just. I rolled my eyes.
It doesn't have to come up because they don't have to Tomb Raider it. They don't have to address it later on. You can see it the whole way. There are certain movements she does.
Have you ever been impaled?
I have.
Have you gone on a murderous rampage after being impaled? And then she has to fight Abby after that? Which, granted, Abby was in no condition to catch hands.
Right.
But
they caught hands.
It just...
I don't know.
That was too much.
I don't think it was a negative. I agree that it didn't need to happen, but it definitely...
It did happen. But you're saying
you remember it.
Because it was stupid.
Nah, man. It was cool.
It
sucked. As a big horror fan, that was neat to see. And it was well done because, the worst kind of horror, or at least when it comes to, body horror, is when you see it, you're like, all right. But when you go, ooh, when you look at it and you wince, that means whatever they did to create that scene was done right, with the right effects, visuals, everything.
Yeah, if this was Mortal Kombat, sure.
Mortal Kombat don't make me go oof. Sometimes.
But okay. Well,
anyways,
we disagree.
Okay. Yeah.
Finally, the Rattlers.
Mm-hmm.
That felt like the most boring season of The Walking Dead. I was going through, I'm like, this is so...
I agree. The Rattlers are mostly throwaway.
Mm-hmm.
They could have just been more WLs.
Maybe they just want you to have an enemy that's fodder, and you're like, oh, just kill him. Don't worry about it. But it again felt a little... I think the positive, or not, a good thing to take away from that, from ultimately a very boring enemy, for the most part, is just showing you that no matter where you go, this stuff's happening. There's gonna be weird divisions, and there's gonna be weird factions, and everyone's got their own way of kind of doing things. Why would they keep these things leashed? That's like some Michonne for
coming back to Walking Dead.
Well,
but they're not zombies.
But that did happen in Walking Dead. We saw that.
Yeah, again, but why didn't the WLFs do that? Why didn't the cult members do that? Everyone's got their own way of thinking.
For a developer who stated these are not zombies, they sure took a lot from what I know of zombies.
They're zombies. We know they're zombies.
I should pull up the clip.
I do like the...
It says they're not zombies. I forget the character designer or something.
They're zombies, but I do like the explanation for them. They take something that actually, I forgot what it was called, the cordyceps, right?
I think so.
Which is an actual thing, and I even, strangely enough, ran into it just randomly Like, you know, when the game was first coming out, I did some research and stuff. But I watched nature shows with my little one, so she doesn't just get cartoons. And I actually ran into that. They were talking about like some beetle getting it and like all this stuff sprouting from it. So I do like that they took a more scientific approach than the typical zombie movie, which is pretty much, I don't even know. I can't even think of how it, like with Walking Dead, we don't even know how it started. It just did.
I mean, we don't know with Last of Us either.
Yes, we do. It
What
was
started
just
the...
yeah, it's a stronger strain of that real disease.
Okay.
And it just amped up. How it did? Well, we don't know that. But I like the science behind it. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say.
Rattlers were dumb.
Yes.
And
I agree.
it's just, it didn't help that at that point, like when Ellie left the farm to go, I was like, oh my god, like I didn't want her to go. I was like, stop. And like this was already a character that I was like, I don't dislike you, but I'm not a big fan right now because you've been going on this quest and Jesse's dead. At that point, I thought Tommy was dead when you first show up at the farm because he gets shot in the head.
Yeah, dude, I thought he was dead. And then I see him limp up.
Yeah, oh, I got shot in the head. I can't walk straight. I mean, I don't know what happened in between.
I think they handled that well when Tommy showed up and he was like a little disfigured. And
I mean, it makes you not like Tommy either, sure.
Exactly.
Take these people I like and make me not like them. If that was their goal, obviously, but it's...
Everyone takes loss a different way. And it brings out the ugly part of you.
That's not a very creative lesson to teach.
What would you teach?
What would I teach? I mean, I didn't write the story. You'd have to restructure a lot of bits, but it just...
That's what I'm saying. We're just playing out the story that is given to us, and I think it was done well. All right, so we talked about the negatives. I'm sorry, you hear a lot of table pounding. That's me. That's how I talk.
Very angry.
Yeah. Let's talk about... You want to just switch over to what we did like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we get into anything narrative, what they did with the accessibility options, I don't know if you've gone through.
I peeked into it a little bit. I used some of it for subtitles. I was heavily impressed just with the subtitles. Mm-hmm. And I did hear about a whole bunch of other things. Did you utilize any of these?
I have for a second playthrough with my wife.
Okay.
And I think it's worth everyone going in there and just seeing like how they, like, I mean, I know Uncharted 4 it did that. Hey, you don't need to mash, you can just hold. Like even that itself, like I think is a great option for people who maybe have trouble. That
was 4, right?
Button. Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe there's some options for if you're having trouble with like your vision. I didn't use them all, but I just was reading through that list and I'm like, this is really cool. Like if you have like certain certain versions of colorblindness.
Yeah.
And then there's like if you just aren't good at, if you aren't very good at games, like you can bump down the difficulty and customize it so much. Like, hey, these guys, they won't see you if you're like laying prone on the ground. Okay. Like that's a great option if like you're someone who really struggles. Yeah. Like if you're someone
you're really interested in the story, which was great as we discussed.
Don't quote me on this, but there's even an option for like if you're blind, there's like some like
audio cues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And I'm like that. Like just they deserve a great.
Yeah. There's a couple
amount of props for that.
High profile.
I wish I went through it more. Even though I don't plan on using too much of it, but I did do the subtitles one.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely some high profile gamers out there that are known to have some kind of disability when that impairs their gaming, and they were praising it. So awesome that they did it. Really cool, and I hope this becomes a new standard because as someone who games just fine, I still definitely like being able to change the font size.
That Spyro remaster didn't even have subtitles in the beginning.
Wait, what?
You remember that remaster they did of the Spyro games?
Yeah.
Those didn't even have subtitles until like people complained.
I heard about that. Yeah, you're right.
So you say you want it to be the standard? I don't think we're anywhere close to
that. No. But I'm saying it should be.
It should be.
Yeah.
I'm sure certain games it would require different nuances, but it just seemed to be something. I don't know what I'm saying. It impressed me to see those options available.
Now, another thing to...
Oh, and there's one with like the camera. Like I believe you don't have to control the camera. It'll just follow wherever you're walking. Direction. Yeah, like
because certain people,
like if you're
like my wife, is not the best at controlling both movement and camera at the same
Which
time.
is the part of your brain you just have to learn.
Right, yeah.
If you want to get into it.
With more
training.
Yeah. Now, as someone who just recently, finally stepped in the world of HD gaming, what did you think of The Last of Us Part 2 visually?
I had 720p.
That was not HD. Get out of here.
No, and I got that HDR logo popping up in the corner.
Yeah, boy. What did you think? Just regardless of your TV or anything,
my
just
brother-in-law
visually.
was playing Resident Evil 2, and I couldn't help
We're
but look
talking
at
about
it.
another game.
I
Okay.
know, but I couldn't help but think like, man, this doesn't look that good. And I remember playing Resident Evil 2. I'm like, this looks phenomenal.
Okay.
But Naughty Dog clearly went to work, and there is some worries about like game crunch and everything, and developers being overworked. But that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
For me to look at something I thought was like amazing looking, and then be like, after Last of Us 2, I'm like, ew, this doesn't look that good. Which it looks great, like Resident Evil 2 does, the remake.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Not the '98 one. Great for in its own way. But I continue to see it and be like, man, this looks great.
Dude. I mean, obviously, great looking game. You know, it starts off with Joel and Ellie in their room. He's just being awkward dad, stepdad kind of deal. But man, it obviously looks great there. But you start riding into Seattle on that horse with Dina on your back, and
she's on your shoulders.
Yeah, you know. They had a coat on and a hat, you know, trying to pretend to be an adult.
I saw Space Jam, yeah.
Yeah. Dude. Man, the foliage. Michael Scott's a safe word, foliage. Fantastic, man. I couldn't believe it. Like, this is just PS4. How is that PS5?
Are you on a Pro?
Yeah, I got the PS4
okay,
Pro.
I'm not on a Pro.
With a really nice television for its time. Regardless, it doesn't take an awesome TV to find out that this game just looks great.
I would have thought it looked great,
and the
even
fidelity
on
of
old 32 inch.
Yeah. No, I know.
720.
Yeah,
Going on
but
there.
man, I think it's the best looking game I've seen.
I'm sure there's some PC stuff that probably
There isn't.
does something.
No,
People always talk
it
about
doesn't
Crisis.
exist. I don't even know what a PC is.
That's how you're gonna play your Xbox games. So, I don't know. You better not.
That's true. No, but it's fantastic. I mean, definitely console. I'm sure there's stuff on PC, but overall, man, what a beautiful game.
And I mean, you I feel like focusing on the visuals does a disservice to the audio.
That's my next point.
Because they worked really hard on making it satisfying to throw a bottle at glass, like breaking windows. Yeah. You could make a game out of that.
Dude, all right. There's one thing that happened. I have a pretty decent sound system, right? There is a scene. I want to say it was Seattle Day 3. When is the one where when she goes to that arcade?
That's the Left Behind DLC?
No, not that one. It was like she went to like a Chuck E. Cheese or something, you know, whatever.
A Chuck E.
It was while you're on the boat and you're going through the cities, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then eventually you stumble upon some weird, like, fun, really cool looking place, actually. I'd like to go.
Yeah, there's like a boss fight kind of.
Yeah, with like a bloater or something.
One of those.
Man, I've never been so impressed with my sound system until that part of the game. There was a storm happening. I assume it happens for everyone in that scene. I assume that's just what they do. So I assume, do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was a heavy storm outside, and just the way they did their sound of the thunder rumbling, the rain, and then like obviously the buildings are falling apart and stuff, and there'll be like parts where like the roof is leaking a decent stream, and just like you walking through it and just hearing the differences and all the rain and the leaks and the drops of water hitting some on the floor, like tiled or hardwood floor or whatever, and some on carpet. Like just the differences was phenomenal, and the storm sounded so legit. I had to pause the game and go outside because I'm
you
like
have surround sound too, right?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
So
I have a good setup, and I've been impressed with it before. I've been happy, but this is the first time I've seen it used to its full potential. And I watch a lot of movies and stuff.
The Castlevania anime apparently did that.
God. Yeah, no, I will give it that. Let's not talk about the content, but the audio was good on that show. But anyways, this is the first time I've seen it used to the point where it tricked me into real life. I had to stop. I was like, there's no way this is the game. I legit thought it was storming outside.
I mean, I don't have that. I don't have a
no, of course.
system like
no,
you.
I know. I just wanted to bring that to the point, because if you are able to praise its audio with just I assume just TV speakers, correct?
I have a sound bar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, is that new?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, anyways, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Here's how I could sell you on how impressed I was with the sound.
Okay.
I was so impressed with the sound that I knew they must have done a really good job at the dog noises.
What?
The dog nose? No, I know you're judging me for how I say dog, so I'm like trying to.
But you're saying noses too, and just adding to
the
it.
dog noises.
Okay.
I'm playing this game a second time now. 0 dog kills, other than the one they force you to do.
Okay.
Which sucks because they keep smelling me, making this game so difficult.
They do.
Did you kill dogs?
Oh, all the time. I couldn't do it because.
Wait, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, because you said you couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it without killing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now that I think about it, it probably wasn't that weird. But anyways, no, I had to kill them because they were always on my trail, and they'd always alert everybody. So I'm like, nah, man.
I killed 0 dogs, and
don't let John Wick see me, but
I, as someone who's very much a dog person,
of course,
despite my allergies, which came up in my late teens, so I don't know what the heck, because I used to live with.
Oh, you got that human hair
a
dog,
lot of dogs,
so you're good.
But out of context, that probably sounds weird.
Nope, just leave it that. You don't have to explain.
But I didn't want to hear that sound. And I'm sure they did a great job. And I was like, yep, I didn't want to hear it.
Let's see.
So other than the one they force you to kill with a quick time event, I've not shot a dog.
On the second playthrough.
On either playthrough.
What? You managed to do it without on the first one? Well, that's why you don't like the game as much.
I did accidentally. I thought I was throwing a brick at a guy. I'm sorry, a Molotov at a guy. But then I realized, oh my god, it's aiming at the dog. So I reset my checkpoint because I'm not killing any dogs.
Okay, well I can't.
Which makes it a lot more
were
difficult. And
yeah.
There are times when I was like, this would be so much easier if I just got rid of this, but I couldn't.
No, that's how I did it.
And they named the dog too.
Yeah.
They named the people. That's cool too.
Sparky.
Yeah, this one named Bear. It just he would not stop.
Wait, wasn't that the main one that you killed?
No, it keeps saying Bear. It's in front of the hospital. There was a dog named Bear.
Oh.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I recall it because when playing with my wife, I had to keep running around to find the door I was supposed to go in, and then
you kept running into the dog or get close.
Kept hearing, "You found something, Bear?" But now that you're saying that, there may have been another dog named Bear. Yeah. So maybe I'm misremembering. Regardless, that was cool. All right, I'm gonna also mention the whistling. Whoever did the design on the whistling, like that first time you hear the whistle.
One of the scariest moments in gaming in a very long time.
The tension never gets as high as that, I think, during an encounter. But during that first whistle encounter, I was like...
Well, just because that was like the way they introduced those enemies, like top, like
well, they have them shoot
top
you with
of their
an
class,
arrow.
the way they did it. Yeah, and you get impaled. That's the first time you have to do that, and which is cool because like earlier in the game, when you're playing as Ellie, you see a scar on the floor, and that's how you get a bow and arrow. Because obviously there's been a war there before. So I do like that it's not just a random bow you find. It actually belonged to one of the scars. I don't know if you remember that. At least where I got mine.
Was it a scar or someone who was going on their own? Because I remember their backyard had a bunch of targets and everything.
You might be able to find them in different spots. I'm not sure. But the one I found was right in front of that one radio tower, I believe. And there was like a dude who was in a brown coat at the time, and that's where I found my bow.
Maybe.
Now you got me second guessing.
I just remember at some point you go into a garage and then a clicker grabs at you, and then you open the garage after you kill it and you see like a bunch of mannequins.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Is that when you get the... Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Whatever. But yeah, those whistles were
good
scary.
Whistle tech.
Yeah. 10 out of 10. Whistle tech.
All right, here's when we get to probably my biggest point with this game, and it's when I ultimately praise it.
Okay.
Like the more than I've done, because I've probably seemed really negative so far.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of...
I briefly, before we started recording, mentioned Spec Ops: The Line.
Okay.
2012 classic that many probably didn't play. I'm going to spoil that a little bit.
Spoilers for Spec Ops: The Line.
Starring Nate...
No, you had it right. Starlin, Nathan Drake.
Nolan North. So there's a Naughty Dog connection there. That's a game where they pretty much they want you to like feel bad about what you're doing, and it's almost like, and I can't recall if it was an interview or a podcast I heard, but it was like the game can end when you stop playing, like as in like, hey, if you don't like what you're doing, you can stop, but you would have to shut off the game and not finish it. Like the concept of that idea was something that I feel like that game was trying to introduce, because it was like, hey, you're gonna do some bad stuff,
okay,
and you're not gonna feel good about it. And I think this game is, we've finally done what that game was trying to do, where
better, right?
Making you as a player not want to do what the game wants you to do. Because in that game, like you kill some people with like white phosphorus, I believe. I don't know if you recall that. And then like
that was a big
at the point, I didn't even know what I was really doing. I remember being a little confused. I'm like, well, I gotta shoot this. These guys are shooting me. And then you see like all these like these families, like, you know, you just murdered them, and it has them like frozen almost because of the chemical. And it's like a mother and child that you like killed,
right? And
it's supposed to make you feel really bad, and I remember being like feeling a little bad, but then that game continues and it's a lot of like, hey, you're not so much the good guy, like you're a flawed person. And there's a part where I think I remember there's like someone's making you shoot like someone like they're like held above, and like if you don't shoot it, it'll kill you.
Okay.
And so anyway, the game's forcing you to do things you don't want to do.
Right.
And then I think you find out, and I could be remembering wrong, but you find out that like the person that was telling you to do that was like yourself the whole time. So like it tries to do this twist and everything.
Yeah, it was a while back.
But I feel like this game is finally doing what that game was trying to do.
Right.
Which is make you as the player be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like I want to stop.
Well, that was, and I assume the point you're trying to, the one you're trying to bring up here. When you have to fight Ellie as Abby, is that the scene?
That did happen to me, and I was like, I forget this, and I let Ellie kill me. I was like, let's see what happens.
That's exactly what I did, because we'll get into Abby more a little bit, but I guess it's kind of hard to really bring my point without my feelings on Abby. But yeah, man, that sucked. I let myself die as Abby a few times, or I thought that's what I was supposed to do.
The fight was hard, and I kept losing.
Yeah.
She kept hearing me, which I thought that was really cool as well. That like she was using the abilities that you had used with her.
That's one thing that I actually. Okay, so here's something that I actually never did. I never once used Ellie's minds, ever in the game. I for some reason forgot she had them. So at one point when Abby's facing,
how did you get?
I don't know. At one point when Abby's facing Ellie, she's like, "What is she doing?" And in my head, I was like, "Yeah, what is she doing? Why don't I have that?" You know. And then I found out later. I'm like, "Why? How did I miss this?" Like I would obviously full of minds the whole time. I'm like, "This is pretty handy."
Yeah.
And now that I saw Ellie do it, I was like, "Man." So second playthrough, whenever I get to that, I'm going to definitely be using those lines more. But anyways, yeah, dude, fighting Ellie sucked. And then, like, whenever you had to, like, mash square or whatever to, I would either hold, like, a knife to each other or something.
You get a lot of that.
Yeah. I didn't want to do it. Like, I felt bad. Like, that's what I'm saying with this game. It makes you feel these things to this extent that I just haven't really felt before.
And that's part, and especially with the last fight, which I almost feel like, it's a game. You got to have a boss fight at the end,
but it wasn't like the typical boss fight, which is what I
mean, if you've played Metal Gear 4, it was pretty much that. Or Metal Gear Solid 4, because I know there's other like SNES ones. Yeah. But I was like, I let Abby kill me when I was Ellie at the end.
Really?
I don't want to do. No, I felt even worse about it. I was like, this is stupid. Like when Ellie was like, "We're doing this," and she's got a knife to Lev's throat or wherever it was.
Yeah, when
And
I was there,
like,
I was like,
this.
"Oh, honey, why are you doing this?"
That's when like I was just like, screw you.
Yeah,
And
that's another thing. I didn't want to do it then, but again,
it's a game.
I
so
still
I
don't
did.
want Ellie to die. I understand that what she has done up to this point was, more than what needed to be done. But I didn't want to kill Abby. I didn't want Ellie to die either. So I don't know. It was
I mean, at
very
that point, they implied
that boss fight. I was just like, God.
At that point, they implied Dina was gonna leave. So I was like, because she was like, if you go, I'm not waiting for you. So
Yeah.
Something equivalent to that is what Dina had said.
Yeah.
And I was when that fight started, I paused it and I was like, I don't want to do this, which I think is really like.
That's what they wanted, man.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, but it's taken 8 years for a game to finally do that. From when I last saw that attempted, and I think it's been too long. That more games should have. If you're gonna try and like do this, like it shouldn't have taken until 2020 for a game to do this.
For my personal taste, yes, I agree. But seeing how some people have reacted to this game, I don't know if gaming is fully ready for that. Because I am astounded at the online hate.
Well, that's what I said at the beginning. It shows how far we've come, that we can now have this moment where, hey, me as the player, I want to not do this. Because I don't know if I've like felt that way.
Yeah.
Spec Ops did it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
But this had way more on the line. Well, I was way more invested in this versus Spec Ops, and I love that game because of what it was trying to do. And it's crazy to me that it took 8 years for a game to do what that game was trying to do. And we need, and honestly, in my opinion, this story is pretty. I think it works well because it's pretty basic.
Yeah,
there's no deep.
It's a revenge story.
I don't think there's very much deep thought. It's like, oh, revenge is bad. Like I know this. For someone, this is their first maybe interaction with it, so it's good to have those stories. But this is a story that like. How long? Like you mentioned at the beginning of this, like how long have movies been doing this storyline?
Yeah.
So for us, it took 2020 for that to happen in this medium. It's great. We've now passed a hurdle, and I hope that games can evolve past this.
Well, that's what every game is.
Don't believe that'll happen.
I think with the right people behind it and the correct people talking about the game, we'll push it further. Because although the stupid Metacritic stuff with all the user reviews is really childish and
I mean that's been going for
but
a lot of games.
This is the most extent I've ever seen it, like to this point. Like I was telling you, I think I sent you the picture of someone so mad that on Best Buy's review they put the lowest star they could, and then they shared 2 screenshots of the game, one being Joel's grave. And actually, no, that's the only one they shared. It was just Joel's grave, and then in the title, they said Joel Miller dies early in the game. I can't believe they did this to my characters. It's like the most like, why are you trying to ruin this for everybody? Like I know those leaks came out, right? And you said yourself you potentially read some.
So I'll tell you, the spoilers I had read was there's a character that dies, and I was like, oh, I know that, and then.
Wait, that's all it said? Just the character that dies?
I think I'm remembering this a little incorrectly, but I think it was an article about like, oh, people are mad because someone dies, and this whole time, and I stood away from a lot of like the pre-coverage. Okay. I thought Dina was gonna die. It was like, all right, someone's revenge her girlfriend, and she's gonna go get him. And then someone was like, oh, Joel and Ellie die. Okay. And I was like, what the heck? That's what I had read. Someone comments that, and I'm like, what? But I was like, oh, maybe it's fake. Then Joel dies, so I went through a lot of that game thinking Ellie was gonna die at some point. Okay. Because I was like, well, the spoiler's half true, so and I don't know if that affected me, and I'm gonna say something that's gonna make people mad. I can't tell, and I feel like I need to preface this by saying the way that Joel's death was handled, like I almost felt like it was so sudden that I almost didn't believe it was actually happening. but I also at times felt like maybe I didn't like Joel as much as everybody else. And I haven't played Last of Us 1 since maybe 2014. Because I've played it twice. One for me and then one went through with my wife. And then I played it with my dad, like the first 25% with my dad.
Okay.
So it's been a while. And then I played that Left Behind, which is all out.
But you said you just beat that recently, right?
Yeah, I had
the
never
first
played
time?
it. So you see the big jump in graphical quality real quick. But
just gameplay in general.
Yeah.
Which is something we got to talk about soon.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think I cared that much for Joel when he as a character because it had been so long probably. Okay. But it didn't hit me as hard so that went even further with because like he did something awful. Yeah. Like the end of Last of Us 1 and the end of Last of Us 2, I think like which would you say had a better ending?
That's a hard question to answer.
To me, it's
you didn't write this in the notes. I wasn't ready.
I forgot I wanted to bring this up.
I guess
it's an easy answer to me.
You said the first, right? Just
the way that Ashley Johnson, is that the actress's name?
Yeah.
The way she says "okay" to her question of like, "Hey, that's what really happened? There were other immune people." Yeah. Like that's like if I were writing a story or reading something with at work for what I do, I would be like, I would clap at how well done that scene was. And the end of Last of Us 2 did not. There was no point where I was like, I want to clap for how well done this was.
It was a different emotion for me because it was both technically, I guess, sad endings. Mm-hmm. Not really sad because obviously they made it or whatever, and she's gonna start a new life with Joel, at least in the first one. But it's sad that it ends on a lie for someone that she, reveres and trusts. And at least from what I took from that first ending, she kind of knew he was lying.
And it's so ambiguous. Like, the line was done in such a way that you could believe maybe she believes it or she doesn't. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so open to interpretation. I was like, I thought that was masterfully done. And there is no point like that in this second game.
I disagree.
What would you say is the point? Like, this is just as good as that line. Read.
Man, I can't believe you're not thinking of this. Dude, her fingers. Mm-hmm. She lost so much getting up to Abby.
Yeah, she's stupid.
She's not the most intelligent person. No. I wouldn't have done what she has done, but I get it. Okay? She has lost through so much to avenge this person since the beginning. Crazy journey, her risking her relationship, a really happy life that she was kind of living with Dina, at least after she gets wrecked by Abby. And this whole time is just avenging this person who she loves, and we're slowly getting bits and pieces of how their relationship kind of tapered off towards the end, her being a moody teenager and being ridiculous and being upset that she finds out the truth with what Joel has done after all this time, him promising that what he was saying was true. And all this time happens, she gets to this fight that you did not want to see happen. Her and Abby, just two girls, both how do you say, not incapacitated, but like weak, fragile. They've been through a lot to get to this point. Both of them, I think, in their hearts, don't want to do any of this. Obviously, Ellie does, but we know she didn't really want to. She doesn't go through with it. We see it happen.
She got pretty far.
She got really far, and then as I was mashing square, I was like, God, I don't want this to happen, right? So she finally gives up. Thankfully, Abby's free to go. Ellie just sits there and just is pondering. And in this fight, she gets bit and loses. I thought only one finger. Then we finally see it was like 2 or 3, right?
It was 2.
2 of them. And we see them close up as she gets back to the house that she left with Dina. And after all this time, the one connection she had throughout her journey, which was this guitar, for Joel, the whole reason she's on this journey to begin with, is now severed. Literally. and figuratively. She can't do the one thing that obviously he was fond of, and
well, he taught her.
Exactly, yeah. Something that just a quick little throwaway line in the first game, like, "Hey, I'm gonna teach you guitar." I can't do a good Joel, but and she tries, and just it was heartbreaking to see that she could not play the same song that he sung her in the same song she tried to sing, but Dina came in on, and she wasn't ready to share that part because she was still hurting. You know, when right before she played that fantastic rendition of "Take on Me."
That was great.
Yeah.
It's too bad she can't play that song.
She probably can't play that.
Okay.
But hold on. And then that's it, man.
It is.
That she can't. That just goes to show you how pointless revenge is, at least to the extent that she took it. And
I mean, I know that already.
I know we know that, but this is her way of realizing it. She didn't know that.
I just don't think
she was
it's
blinded
as
by it.
strong as your. I mean, you felt the way you felt. I'm not gonna say you're wrong. Your opinion is wrong or your interpretation is wrong. It just felt like, yeah, that's what you get. You're stupid. That's what. Like I felt like, okay, you've gotten your just reward or just desserts. And forget maybe that's the phrase.
Just desserts.
But like you did what I didn't want you to do. You went so far. Like for her to be like, all right, I'm gonna leave Dina alone with this child in what looked like the middle of nowhere. Granted, it was a very nice place.
Yeah, it was
but
nice.
It was such like just a selfish decision, and I was.
Of course,
and
that's what revenge is.
But it just it soured me on her. So when she lost that, like I was like, yeah, that sucks. Like I remember as the credits were playing, I was like, man, like I felt something.
Yeah.
But I definitely like. 5 years later, how long has it been since Last of Us 1? 7 years? 7 years later, I can still think of that ending and be like, oof, so well. Like, the acting in there was so good. Just that morally gray decision versus how I feel now. Like, I don't think 7 years from now I'll be like, man, Ellie, that's what happens with revenge. Like, I already know that, so it's just like, yep. Like, I'm not going to look at the ending of this as fondly.
I guess when it comes to revenge stories, typically it's another character asking that character, like, do you feel any better? Mm-hmm. Like, was this worth it?
Right.
And the main character, whoever finally gets the revenge, just says, no, I don't feel any different. I don't feel any better. But this goes without saying it. It was shown to you, and not only was it shown, but
she
at
already
least
lost Dina. So like,
but the thing
it was
is,
like almost
Dina's
like with the spike in the side of her. It almost felt like it's too much. And I'm not saying bad things can't happen. Like that's fine. And I know this world is very negative and everything, but like I already understood the lesson. So it just felt like if I was in class and a teacher was like telling me, you know, what this symbol meant for like the third day in a row. Like I just felt like I was in a lesson. I was learning this lesson that I already learned, and then they just were hammering it in. And I get it. I got it when Dina left. That empty house.
But the thing is, we didn't know that. That's just what she said.
Right, but
I honestly didn't believe it. So when she came home to the empty house, that whole walk in sucked.
That sucked a lot.
And then just to end it again with the reason she even lost this house, or not the house, but lost the life that she had built there.
It's sucking on top of sucking.
Yeah,
which I get, but it's not a strong. And to me, it's not a stronger ending than one. And it actually falls. I'm not saying it's a bad ending. It just falls so much shorter because the first one's ending to me was just so good.
Okay.
And I'm a fan of Uncharted 2's ending. So I like quality.
Yeah.
I have a high bar with the whole Nathan Drake and clowns or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just. One to me was way better, and I feel like I'm not trying to sell this game short. I think ultimately I would put it in that masterpiece category because it did what Spec Ops was trying to do and what games should have been trying to do a decade ago.
I guess to I think I kind of figured it out, but I forgot to ask this. What do you think was better, Last of Us 1 or 2?
I feel like I've not played Last of Us 1 in so long. That I think as a game, this one is way better to play. As a story, one was tighter.
It's definitely shorter.
Well, yeah. It also 2 has just so much muddled in there that while not bad, it's just it wasn't as good as 1. I like Abby more than I ever liked Joel.
I got some thoughts on Abby.
I like Dina more than I ever liked Tess. Was that her name?
Oh yeah, I didn't like Tess.
I thought she was fine.
I like second play the playthrough I just did recently. She was cooler, but nah.
But again, I've not played Last of Us 1 in quite some time, but I don't have the same love for Ellie that I think you do.
Okay. Well,
I really didn't like when she left.
Well, of course.
Dina. But I just liked it, I think, so much more than you, because I'm not as willing to maybe.
Well, I did just play the first game to begin with.
Understand her. Well, not understand her, but like feel her plight at the end. A great game. I would put it in that masterpiece category like you, but I think it's a masterpiece for 2020, and I think 20 years from now, if we're still considering that a masterpiece, then this medium has failed.
Well, you were just talking about
progress.
Old Mario games that are masterpieces.
Oh, I'm talking about
what?
Mr. Wahoo himself. Not comparable. I'm joking, but those are masterpieces in different ways.
Okay. The only one.
And I feel like maybe I'm being like a little.
Yeah, we were supposed to be in the what we like category, and you're here trashing on this game.
This game is amazing, but if we don't evolve from this very simple theme, then this game may as well not have existed because it didn't do what I think this medium needs to do. And it's evolved past these simple ideas and actually show some growth.
Okay.
And it's a step that was necessary. And I think the inclusion of the lesbian and trans characters is good. I've actually heard some takes that it's not good. Like, okay, so as people who are not homosexual, I don't think we're the best people to have this conversation. But I want to bring something up to you.
Okay.
I am of the opinion, and I would love to be educated on this by someone more in the know, but I'm of the opinion like, hey, it's good that such a big budget title and such a big company attempted this with gay characters because that helps to normalize it. Like, hey, being gay is just another path for other people.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, whatever.
Yeah.
Because
if you don't like it, that's exactly how you deal with it in normal life. You just avoid it or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or like some people on the internet scream and cry like babies about it.
And like the trans characters, like whenever I hear the backlash this game got, I just roll my eyes because I'm like,
yeah, no, definitely.
You getting upset about this Lev situation?
Yeah.
And I think some people also were just they heard so much about the transgender part that I forgot. This is going away from my question I was going to ask you, but
okay.
I think people thought Abby was a trans character.
I was going to bring that up
because she had muscles.
Yeah, and it's just again another thing people aren't used to.
Very upset about that.
Yeah, girls look like that. Yeah. Like now, I think the main criticism was like, how can a girl in the apocalypse look like that? You know, you have to be.
You see how many pills these girls pop?
That's true. all them upgrades to listen better.
Yeah,
you know?
like I got 90 pills in my pockets right now in my second playthrough.
I like that they explained. I like that no one ever ultimately asked her like, man, how'd you get so big? Like they just subtly.
We got 3 days.
There was plenty of time in Abby's part to explain it, but they did.
Also,
subtly.
She's rooming with a guy, so maybe that made people think that as well.
Yeah, but just because you're rooming with someone doesn't mean you're.
Yeah, but you would think
clapping cheeks.
You mean their face, right?
Yeah, of course. Patty cake.
It's just anyway. What I was bringing up was I've heard from some people in the LGBTQ plus community. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's one we missed.
It's too late. Like it's 2020. We should be beyond this. But in my head, I'm like, hey, like you need to take that first step to get there.
You say it's too late, but it's like
we should already be there. Is what they were saying, and I agree with you. It's better late than like it's good that this has happened, but they didn't seem to want to give this game any props because
people just want to be mad about something. People are always trying to be mad about something.
I'm mad at you right now. I'm just but again, it's people who are not gay. I do wonder more what's the outlook on this game for the community that the characters are based on.
A lot of people think it was shoehorned. A lot of people think it was shoved down your throats and down your face. But ultimately,
I mean, I don't agree with them.
Exactly.
Pretty tame.
Yeah, I mean, at least Ellie's like handle of it, you know, her being kind of awkward and trying to like dismiss that kiss, like when Dina was like, so how would you rate that kiss, you know, and all that stuff. Like, she was all unsure and she's like very awkward, and like I think she's still coming to terms with, like, obviously she knows like that whole DLC thing already was I guess the seed that was planted. Left behind. The seed that was planted for that. So it's not like it's a random thing like, oh, it's 2020, let's just suddenly make Ellie gay. No, she was already gay, you know, and we saw that. What, 4 years earlier? However long
I saw
it
a week before.
Well, that was
the game.
So did you not know about that she was?
I mean, I saw a little bit of the trailers.
Oh well, so
I found out she was gay from the trailers.
Okay, gotcha. Well, no, I already knew coming in, and that was like a huge moment even back then, because again, that was before how
taken it at the time.
Yeah, this is before how like accepted as it is now, and again, still using that word loosely. So I don't know. I think they handled it fine. They didn't make it a huge point. That's just. It seemed like to those complaining, it seemed like it was a huge point, because that's literally what love is. You're like falling in love with somebody. You're caring about them. The complainers are unhappy to see that it's between two girls.
No, I'm talking about people who are gay, though. That I wonder what their take is, and if.
Oh, I'm sure there's finding ways to nitpick it, because typically in games it's not handled well, or typically in media it isn't handled well. But I hear some mixed things. Some people think it was handled well, especially the trans, and people were like, I can't believe they got a trans in there and they didn't even get a trans person to play him. Well, no, they did. They got a trans person to play Lev.
And he kills his mom. I could see like someone getting upset with that. Like,
but again, it wasn't
your trans representation commits matricide. So
that's come on.
But
that's like lesbians getting mad that Kelly killed everybody. Lesbians are murderers.
For a medium that has such few transgender characters, I do wonder, like, if you were transgender, how would you feel about one of your only representations being someone who commits a lot of murder? And as someone who's not trans, I don't think I don't think I could judge it properly. I just wonder what that take is.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And if anything, it shows, again, this game is really ahead but behind, because there should be more trans characters.
Left behind.
There should be more. There should be more gay characters.
Yep.
And not just, hey, I'm playing Mass Effect and I chose to be gay.
Right. That should just be by default written that way, and not your choice.
Well, and Mass Effect maybe is a bad example, because that's like a.
Well, yeah, that's a choice game, but I mean, like, in narrative.
I can't think of any
games.
other gay protagonists off the top of my head.
I'm sure.
I remember some Grand Theft Auto said the Ballad of Gay Tony. Yeah. I remember that was something.
Turns out he wasn't gay.
I've never played
no, I'm just kidding.
I just struggle to think of any other protagonists, and I'm sure there are, especially like in the indie.
Oh
world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, spoilers for Gone Home. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, there's a whole bunch of things.
It interests me, and at least the dialogue is open, and hopefully we continue to open that. But you know what was really cool? Them whistling. It was great.
Back to the
great
whistling.
Sound design. I want to read a quote to you though.
Okay. By whom?
By game director of Last of Us 2, Neil Druckmann.
Oh, okay.
And it was weird. It was a weird quote to me. He said this in an interview. I'm going to read it to you now.
Sure.
I don't want to go into specifics about it, but I saw a video of a lynching when I was much younger. It was like a news thing. And then feeling intense hatred for the people that committed the lynching, and thinking, like, oh man, if I could hurt these people in some ways, then than I could. Just the quote was pretty much like saying like a lot of the foundation for this story, like his inspiration for it, was him watching this lynching video and feeling anger and hatred and wanting to commit violence against another person. And if that was the inspiration for his story, I don't know if I could ever, if I've at this point in my life can relate to that.
No, of course not.
So maybe that's something that like I missed out on, which is weird.
Don't,
it's weird to
you
say.
Don't wanna,
but
I missed out on that lynching.
For this game to be like, hey, we want for him to be like, I was inspired to make this story because of how much hate I felt. Like I want other people to feel that hate. And if that was his intent, I don't know if I could ever really completely relate when his intent was, I want you to feel hate and wanting to hurt someone.
The thing with what he was intending to do, regardless of whether it was inspired from, he still made you feel it. It wasn't from a lynching. I mean, I guess that was a brutal murder of Joel's death.
Torture.
Yeah, exactly. Like it. So, no, I can't relate to seeing someone get lynched. I can't relate to seeing someone get brutally murdered personally. But with what the game provided with the character that apparently I like more than you, being murdered in front of me.
Oh, Joel.
Joel, come on, man.
Well, because
keep up.
I really liked Abby by the end of this.
Yeah, we're gonna have some differences.
Well, then what else do we need to talk about here? I say we just get to that.
What? The online hate? Oh,
yeah. So we can then get to Abby.
So just the point that I was just trying to make just completely negated. Like you just interrupt. And,
what do you mean?
I don't know. I forgot what I was saying.
You want to rewind it?
No. I'm sure it'll come up.
Everyone rewind 30 seconds.
Nah. Yeah, just let me know in the comments what I was saying, and then I'll say it live right now.
Tweet at.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go on Twitter. I think I do. Yeah, I do.
You have a Twitter?
Yeah, I do. I've sent you stuff. Okay, well, yeah. So a big subject of the online hate that I've been seeing, unfortunately, for the voice actress that, and I guess Mocha address too. Laura Bailey, who you say you can pick out of a haystack whenever.
Everything. She's in everything.
She's talented.
She's Trunks or Kid Trunks in Dragon Ball Z. She's in like a ton of JRPGs. She was in Uncharted.
Yeah.
She was
Nadine.
She's in Super Smash Brothers.
As Lucina, right? You said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I started watching Yu Yu Hakusho again. She's in that.
Yeah, she is getting some very personal hate and threats and just terrible things being said to her or on her behalf, just for the portrayal of a character that you and I both agree is divisive. You ultimately like Abby, but I'm sure you can see why people wouldn't. Correct?
Because they thought she was trans.
That too. That I can't believe people are still going off of like just do a little bit of research before you start hating. Like, you know what? Play the game before you start hating, because that was the main problem with all these Metacritic scores. All of them were negative in less than an hour of the game being published on Metacritic. I'm like, no. That game's 29 hours long. You need some time. Which actually, as a side note, that Ghost of Tsushima that just came out. Did you see what the Metacritic did?
Yeah, they like stalled it.
They stalled it. They're like, hey, we're going to give you guys some time to actually play this game before you critique on it.
Probably smart.
Just come back. They should have done it for this.
Who's looking at Metacritic user reviews?
I know.
I guess I
always look at the critic ones. Yeah.
Which, not that those are perfect either.
No, of course not. Everyone's got an opinion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, Laura Bailey's getting some tough hate. I will never hate Laura Bailey for the characters that she plays. Everyone plays character. I mean, freaking Nolan North, Last of Us 1 played the sicko. What's his name? David?
I think so.
Yeah. Hey, Ellie. I don't know. That's my David. Why isn't he getting hate? I mean, I don't want him to. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. People are wound up for some reason about Abby to this point. Like, I get that, You spent all this time with Joel and Ellie in the first Last of Us. Had a great experience, and to have Joel killed that early in the game was shocking and surprising. Which is the same word. I don't know why I use it differently.
To rewind a bit, because I just feel like I didn't make it too clear. I think part of my not loving Joel is because what he did was pretty bad.
And that's what I wanted to bring up that I haven't heard. I've listened to about like 3 or 4 different Spoilercasts, right? Mm-hmm. And no one's brought this point up. And I want to see if this is just me grasping at straws here, which I'm sure you'll find because you disagree with my opinions a lot.
Because I'm smart.
But here's boy. Yeah, you got that English degree, right? Or major, whatever. The difference between what Joel did and what Abby did is Joel, he's trying to rescue somebody from being, killed. Mm-hmm. I know it was for potentially the betterment of mankind. Mm-hmm. Big decision.
We don't know if it would have worked. And all
yeah,
that.
Exactly. So there's a lot of ifs there. You got a doctor holding up, what is it, a knife? A scalpel, probably? Mm-hmm. A scalpel to you in your way to save her. I bet you if like the other 2 doctors or nurses or whatever they were, mm-hmm. if that doctor had backed off, Joel probably wouldn't have killed him unless someone made a move. If anyone was unarmed. But this dude's like, no, I won't let you take her. Something like that. So Joel does what he needs to get him out of the way.
When you played Last of Us 1, did you shoot them immediately?
No, I waited.
Okay, I did, because I did as well.
Yeah, I waited, and I'm like,
cool.
is this guy really? I'm like, I really have to do this. So I shot him. Boom. We get out of here. Sadly.
I waited a long time.
I did. I waited too. Like, I was there, I was like, all right, it's been like 30 seconds. Ellie's still on the table. Mm-hmm. I gotta wrap this up. So I get rid of him. Now, what Abby did is she specifically sought him out. And after even spending some time with him, being rescued by him, being saved, mm-hmm. obviously showing that he's got some kind of... Because in her head, I'm assuming it's the same portrayal that we had of Abby, a monster that killed somebody you love, mm-hmm. right? So I'm sure Abby has this portrait of Joel. Like, God, I gotta get him. I mean, obviously she's been working at this for years. That's how she got jacked in the first place.
Not only did he make this very morally great decision, but like that moment disbanded the Fireflies. So she lost more than just her immediate family.
No, of course, but that wasn't the point of what Joel was trying to do. He's just trying to get Ellie, and people are still honoring his way.
But then, like, he killed doctors. Like, doctors are a commodity in that sort of environment.
I mean, he heals himself just fine. Anyone can be a doctor.
He wraps that wrist tape around his arm. It's just...
I get it.
I
understand.
It was so bad that I think it's hard for me to, like... I'm glad he got his time after. Like, it's good. I like the museum scene, which we've not mentioned at all.
No, we're yeah, I know.
When I mentioned
we're talking.
Was great.
We're gonna go.
The museum scene was awesome, but he made such a awful decision. Maybe I shouldn't phrase it like that, but he did something bad, and again, killing doctors in this scenario, I think is when doctors are pretty limited.
You don't know that. I mean, we know that, but not to the...
We know this.
We know this, but not to the extent...
What is middle school like in the fungal apocalypse?
The one thing with Last of Us 2 is, like, when you get more detail on who this doctor is, which I think was cool. Abby's father and all that stuff, right? That makes sense for what Abby's trying to do. He's the only one that can do this. Did the dude write down notes somewhere? Like... He's just all
There's probably not many doctors left because they were in the hospital with all those people.
What I'm saying is, if he's the only one there, and he's not safe inside these walls the whole time, right? He's not safe up there. He's out there saving zebras. As noble as that is, he's out there putting himself in danger.
Well, if it was a zebra, would you think it's as noble? I wonder what the animal choice did for.
Doesn't matter.
No, I think if it wasn't a zebra,
if it was a deer, that's what I was expecting.
I think it being a zebra made that moment hit more.
Of course, it was kind of mirroring the draft moment, right? Not something you typically see in that environment. Mm-hmm. Not really, but whatever. Anyways,
you don't see zebras in the back.
No, not in. What was that? What was the city they were in? Boston, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, Joel just did kind of what he had to get Ellie out the way. That was his intention. That's it. Mm-hmm. He didn't specifically go out and hunt this doctor to kill him. That's what Abby did. Abby specifically trained her body, trained herself, trained all her life, risked relationships with what's the dude's name? Owen, yeah. Risked relationship with him, like pretty much. I warmed up to him.
I did, but he did,
Oh, he sucks.
Get his one girlfriend pregnant and then slept with Abby.
Well, because he thought he was done with Abby. I mean, anyway, when I'm trying to get at here, you keep interrupting, boy. Abby specifically just had this terrible portrait of who this person was for 4 years of her life, risked her life, for again, the whole part of the revenge thing, and not only killed this person, but brutally killed this person. Like, I think that's too much. Like, death is death. Obviously, killing somebody is still murder, regardless of how it's done. Joel wasn't a saint for killing the doctor either. But I mean, come on, dude, that was rough. And not only was she killing him, she was obviously killing him in front of somebody who clearly cares for them and his brother. And to her credit, didn't kill him, let him live, because that's not what she was there to do. Take him to the other room. Like, don't do this right here while Ellie's like screaming. Obviously, that I don't know. I think what Abby did is significantly worse than what Joel did. Although more consequences to what Joel did. I'm not disagreeing there. That could potentially save everybody. But the act of the killing was a lot worse. And although, like you, upset in the beginning as Abby, when you start playing as Abby, I'm like, all right, it says Seattle day 1. Now I'm playing as Abby. I know what they're going to do here. I did not think it was going to be as long as it was. I thought this day 1, day 2, day 3 was going to go quicker.
Day 1, I was like, oh no. Is this game really finna make me go through another 3 days after a pretty emotionally draining 3 days of seeing this character that I feel I could say is beloved in my heart, and feel a little less of that love towards her just because she's so focused on this negativity that I couldn't 100% get behind, because while Joel seemed he was a good dad to her, too many skeletons in the closet, killed doctors during the fungal apocalypse, not okay in my eyes. But yeah, the 3 days was a quick. That sudden shift did make me feel a little discouraged to keep going.
Yeah, right, and right there with you. Once that day 1 came on, also was like, all right, this is the point that you texted me about earlier. This is the point you were mentioning that you're not sure if you liked yet. And right there off the bat, I didn't like it. I respected the game for doing it, but no, I wasn't ready, and I was still expecting it to be a little quicker. But
no, you can go another 10 plus hours.
Yeah, knowing what she did, just hours earlier with Joel, I'm like, how are they gonna make me like this character? There's no way they can do it, right?
See, I had faith.
Right?
I had faith in it. It's also because they made me not like Ellie as much, but like I was really mad about my upgrades being gone. I walked so slow when I held L1. That affected me far more than it clearly did you.
Correct.
Well, but you had a different play style.
Right.
Which, props to this game, allows that
versatility,
creativity, and versatility.
So, okay. So now that we touched on that, how we initially felt, based on what I just said, and based on what you're just saying, in the end,
it doesn't even matter.
It's a good song. R.I.P. What did you think of Abby by the end of her day 3, once we met back at the theater?
I feel like
what were your thoughts?
If you would have asked me that question, wait, now just to be clear, you're asking me at the end of day 3, not after epilogue number 1, where on the farm. You're asking me at the end of day 3.
Abby's day 3.
Okay. So I feel like if you asked me this question at that time, my answer would be different. So I'm trying to really dig deep in my head, because I think that final moment with her being held up, her hair being... her iconic Abby braid was gone.
Did you get confused with another person?
I was like, oh, I guess this isn't where they want me to be. So I just tried climbing to go, and I couldn't find where to go.
There was a lady hung up who had Abby's braid.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, here she is. I'm like, she kind of lost a little. This ain't her. And then I was like,
I didn't run into that.
No, there was a lady that had her braid, and I was like, oh, here she is.
That's probably perfect.
But like the little navigation thing or whatever was pointing me in a different direction. I'm like, but she's right over here. Like, I don't know.
I didn't look too closely at the people, so I just.
Oh, I did. I was looking real hard.
Well, I didn't think. I'm like, oh, she must be trying to escape.
Okay. Well, regardless,
So,
we're not at that point.
Yeah. What'd you ask me about end of day?
Yeah, end of day 3.
End of day 3, I was. I would say I was a fan, but I still was Team Ellie.
Right.
Now everything after that point, it completely changes my team. But at that point, I was like, "Oh, Abby's cool. She's got some problems." And I thought that it was clever because I think it was clear. And so I'm gonna just say clear because I think it. But they clearly tried to emulate Joel with the Abby gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Like she
Definitely.
becomes Joel. She's the one taking care of a young child.
Exactly.
She's the one moving planks. My favorite Last of Us 1 mechanic.
Yeah.
I think she also you played it more recently, but don't you have to make shivs to do like instant kills with stealth? With Last of Us 1,
Mm-hmm.
and she needs that as well.
Right.
So this was sort of her becoming a Joel. And I do think that she's sort of a surrogate for that character by the end of day 3.
Yeah, no, and exactly. Like, again, as I started, I was like, all right, here we go. I wasn't feeling it. I'm like, why are you making me play this monster, you know? Based on what she did, not her appearance.
No one knows Laura Bailey probably helped as well.
Well, that's you. That's you and your weird tendency to pick her out from any role she's ever been in.
Her name was like in the opening credits. Her name was just as big as Ashley Johnson.
It deserves to be.
Obviously, but that sort of gave it away for me that something big was going on. And again, I stood away from pre-release videos and everything.
Yeah.
But as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, something's up. And I'm very proud of myself for picking up on that. I think I deserve some credit for being smart.
I'll give it to you. But the fact that it lets you detract from your enjoyment of the game, that ain't smart.
But
so you know what?
I'm pretty sure the
I'm gonna take
Guild
that credit and I'm gonna take that away.
Yeah, take it away from Naughty Dog. They should have not given her credit.
Jeez.
No,
that's
I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah.
However, I do think that because I've just played so many so many JRPGs with that lady's voice.
Okay.
That she just is instant likability for me.
Right.
Even though I think at this point she's becoming like a Nolan North. Like I hear your voice a lot.
Right.
Maybe step it back. Not that you should not work. But it's just, it's almost like she's become iconic, but not for a specific character, just for her volume of work to me. So I think I had a little bit of a soft spot for her.
Okay.
So by the end of day 3, that definitely helped.
Right. Okay, well, as much as I enjoyed her performance, I don't have that big attachment to her. She's great in other stuff that I heard her in. I looked her up.
Lucina.
Yeah, okay. Maybe like hanging on to that Super Smash one. Anyways, so
Kid Trunks. She's half a Gotenks. Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, continue.
Okay. Jesus. You made me lose track, man.
You don't like Abby. She sucks.
Day 1, she sucks. And I see the like you said, like her emulating Joel, all the mirroring and everything. Like I saw that happening, and I remember at one point, look at my wife, and I'm like, I sigh, I go, and she's like, what? I said, I'm Joel right now. They're trying to make me be Joel right here with this kid.
With better biceps.
Ooh, much better biceps. And I was upset because I love Joel. And the fact that they're making me see Joel in this character who brutally murdered him was very difficult.
He brutally murdered all those doctors.
He did not brutally murder them. It was shot. They shot him.
It's up to how you decided to shoot in that segment.
I shot his foot. I mean, he just bled out over time.
That's pretty brutal.
No.
That's the equivalent of torture.
Hurt. A testament to Naughty Dog for making me feel upset that I was starting to like this character. Okay? By the end of it all, still unhappy with the... Like, when I hear people be like, oh, man, in the end, I like Abby more than Ellie. I like Abby more than Joel. I think you even mentioned that earlier. I'm like, well, slow down, Jose. Like, calm down.
I mean, everything after, I think, is what sells it.
Ultimately, they did a fantastic job with Abby.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe that they were able to take my blind hatred for this woman and make me, empathize and it's great that they were able to expand on her story and provide context for what's going on. It's really cool how they linked the whole, the doctor was her dad and everything. But
maybe I wonder how needed that was.
It doesn't matter.
Like ending the chance at a cure, and from a writer's perspective, like that's already enough impetus to feel the way a lot of those characters in Abby's group may have felt. But I digress.
I guess, sure. But in regards to Abby, I doubt she cared too much about the cure. She was mostly focused on the fact that it was her dad. I never really once heard her bring it up to Ellie like, we could have saved everybody if it wasn't.
Well,
that wasn't the point.
That is maybe a problem that this game has, is Ellie and Abby never really have a conversation. Like,
I would have loved to have seen that.
Does Ellie know that her dad, that Abby's dad, was one of the doctors? Do they ever?
I don't think she. We know that as the viewer.
Yeah, but I don't think she does.
I wouldn't know how she would have figured that out herself. She just figured out that Joel killed someone, her dad or somebody important.
I'm thinking from a writer's perspective. Like, I feel like at some point you would want that, and maybe there's like some like theory they have, like, oh, you never really know everyone's emotions, and then maybe that's like stronger storytelling in their eyes. But even you say that would have been a dope moment.
Yeah, if they somehow found a way to get them like in close proximity but not able to hurt each other in some kind of trap or something.
They had Ellie caught until she got Tomb Raider stabbed. Like, you could have just had her get locked up in the prison. Like, you could have had that.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
They could have had that conversation. There was a
way
to make it happen.
Yeah,
Obviously,
but I think ultimately what they
want
did.
Ellie to overcome insurmountable odds.
She's done it this whole time.
Makes so much sense.
I think ultimately what they did, though, going back to how we eventually found Abby, that was a surprise. We didn't realize the amount of time that had passed of her being starved, mistreated, whatever, abused, and then ultimately left out to die, or hang out to die.
I mean, at that point, like,
so it was a cool moment, shocking. Be like, oh snap, she almost as skinny as Ellie.
No, I was trying to walk by her, not move to the next part, but I just. The point where I just really was team Abby over Ellie was she had that home with Dina.
I know.
And JJ. And she's like leaving in the middle of the night. I couldn't support that decision. And I know that they're trying to do, but this story happens at the expense of Ellie. And it sucks. But I couldn't. It's like like when I was mentioning with Spec Ops, like they want you to play. They want you to feel bad about what you're doing. They want a video game to have that emotional like hesitation. And I think it's so cool that they were able to pull that off. Because Spec Ops kind of did, but this game just I personally just I don't like, but it's fine in the it's fine, but I don't like that all came at the expense of Ellie.
Okay.
And that maybe soured me a little bit towards like being a little more negative. Well, probably like way more negative than you in this this Spoilercast.
Yeah, and
still think it's a great game, up there with some of the greats in terms of gameplay. I have some problems with the storyline in terms of some writing aspects, but I think a large part of my negativity is this came at the expense of Ellie. It sucks.
I know, but that's the story. She didn't need to lose her
finger. That's just.
Well, you could care less about her losing her fingers.
That was just. That's too much. Too much. I got it already. That was just like a last middle finger. Like, oh, look how sad this is. Like, everybody was sad.
It was heartbreaking.
Dina left her.
Yeah.
That was sad. And I know you wanted to talk about what I forget if we did this before we started recording or during, but you wanted to talk about what do we think happens and once the credits go, like where is Ellie going?
Yeah, I don't think we talked about it yet. I just brought it up before we started recording. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can touch on the ending now if you want.
Am I jumping ahead?
That was gonna be the ending conversation to kind of summarize everything.
No.
Summarize a word?
No.
No.
No, we're gonna
talk about it now.
We're gonna talk about it now.
Okay. All right. So okay. So, as we discussed, she loses her main connection to Joel. Dina's gone. The whole house is empty besides all of Ellie's stuff and her remembrances of Joel. She can't play the guitar. She puts it down, and then you just see her leave. Where's she going?
She's going to Jackson.
To do what?
To be with Dina.
Is that what you think?
Where else would she go? Just I'm gonna go be a hermit and make my own life?
That's what I think. The way I interpret, I'm sure there's more to it. Like for people that really want to like delve into all the symbolism and all this stuff that happened in the game. Ultimately, I think she left the guitar there just because she's planning on coming back. I think she's gonna. That's the way I took it.
No, that was her goodbye to Joel.
You think so?
Yeah, she's like, all right, I'm leaving him behind. Like he still is in my heart, kind of deal.
Right,
but...
and I get that, but like, I know you can't play the guitar, but like, why not just keep it? Like, I don't know, just something.
You think she's gonna live in that house, in that farm? I mean,
yeah,
I do. Could you go and check if the animals were back there, like the sheep? That's something we should have done.
Well, she wasn't going that direction.
Do you control that moment? Yeah, you walk in through the house.
What are you talking about?
I'm sorry. So when you're in that in the epilogue part 3, you walk up. I wonder if the animals were there. Because if the animals are still there, like the sheep and everything,
could care less about the animals.
Then maybe that answer.
I'm like, where's my Dina?
They made you look at that cute little baby sheep. I recall him having a name or something. But Jethro, the baby sheep, if he was there, she's staying. If you can go and play that part and there's no baby sheep or no sheep at all, then she's not staying there.
Okay, well, ultimately...
Why was that house so nice?
It's a nice house.
It was so heavily even everyone in Jackson's house that you go into, it's like, man, you guys really you don't waste space. You just... Why did Joel need 2 or 3 bathrooms? Who is he living with?
Well, did you not hear the rumors? Originally, the game.
Abby?
God, no. That'd be weird. No. Originally, as part of the script or as part of the original intention for the story, he was supposed to have a girlfriend.
Oh, I think.
Yeah.
Was it a girlfriend or someone from the past? It was supposed to be.
No, he was gonna have a current girlfriend in Jackson. Yeah.
Well, he used her home office to make rodeo cowboy statues of wood.
Yeah.
So.
Boy, man, you go off track so quick.
Well,
no, man, I'm saying I think she put it down as a.
Dina took everything.
Oh my God, dude. Let me talk.
I am.
you're
and I'm telling you right now. Dina left. She. Go.
We discussed that she took everything. I just said she just only left Ellie's stuff, and I get it. I'm thinking she's putting the guitar down. She gonna go try to make amends with Dina. And I could see, to your point, if that doesn't work out, then I'll give it to you that she probably won't be coming back for any of that stuff. If that doesn't work out, we
won't get an answer to this question.
Hey, last of Us Part 3.
This was part 3 and 4.
Nope, there's 2. It's on the box. All right, and that's what. So you think she's gonna go? She's leaving that behind. She's just gonna go live with Dina and Mom.
We know so little about Ellie as a character that the only possible direction for her to go is to Jackson with Dina, unless you want to do some. I was gonna say cosplay, but fan fiction, I think is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Where
cosplay.
She's like, she's gonna live alone, which the game doesn't really direct you in that direction either. They do leave it a little ambiguous, but Ellie is so unrefined as a character that in my head, she's just going to the only place she knows. She's not gonna go to Fedra.
No, I mean she's been through that enough to know that that's not what you want to go. You want to go to the safest town you were in.
I mean, I don't see where else she goes.
Okay.
I want to be a wolf. Seraphite's left a good island over there. Burnt to the crisp. Start reading their Bible.
Yeah, maybe she interprets it correctly. All right. Well, I guess you kind of touched upon it earlier. The gameplay. We've been discussing all this about the story, which is the most subjective part, but I think undeniably the gameplay in this game is great.
I mean, it's never been so satisfying to go through a narrow path, holding the X button to go in between like ruined sections of the wall.
You're just gonna be negative this whole time.
No, it's great. What are you talking about? No, that's great. There's nothing more. Listen, every time I could go into something and hold, how would you describe it? Because I feel like I'm not describing it well. Like when you hold up an X and you go through like a narrow passage, when you're like in between like an encounter, and you see like, oh, these shelves are really close together, but there's a little bit of room for me.
Right.
If I hold X, I can slip through.
I don't get what you're trying to say here.
Okay? When you're fighting people,
okay,
you're in an encounter.
Mm-hmm.
There are several points in locations where, hey, there's like a narrow path you can go through.
Right.
And you can go to like another room, or you can go to like leave a building that there's a little bit of like destruction near. And if you hold up an X, you can go through those narrow pathways. You had to do it during like some doorways as well.
No, I know what you're saying, but I don't get what you're trying to.
It's so satisfying.
That's what you like of the gameplay. That's
so
the main point you want to focus on.
That's a point that I think is gonna not get discussed in all the other 30 million Last of Us podcasts.
You are damn right about that. No one will bring that up. Great.
Yeah,
I'm glad you did. Thanks.
People don't, pay attention.
Well, I really enjoyed the strafing.
Like
After
dodging?
closely,
Holding the gun and moving? Or strafing?
She can like diagonally move, whereas since I just played Last of Us 1, it was pretty much like forward, back, almost like tank controls, but not really. It was very stiff, Joel's movement.
Mm-hmm.
And with Ellie, there was a lot of her walking backwards, sideways, and diagonal. There was a lot more diagonal there. Well, not a lot more. There was diagonal there, and which would be different from Last of Us 1. It was a lot more. The movement was just so much more fluid, and just like all the options that she had, it was just a much more, I guess, fluid experience. I don't know. I can't think of another word to really. That's like the best word for it.
Were you ever able to do like an airborne kill, like jump in the air?
I didn't know that was an option because they never really, like in every other game, here's your perfect opportunity to do it. But I did do it once.
Okay. How'd you do it? I wasn't able to pull it off.
It was, I don't know how I did it, but I did. Like I was running up, I don't know what I was doing, and then I saw the little notification pop up on top of the dude's head or something. I forgot where it was. And I'm like, oh, I can do that? And then I hit it.
There is a notification?
Yeah. Once you're at the right distance and you're elevated enough, it happens. Okay. And I was able to do it.
Does Ellie say a cool swear word when you do it?
No, probably.
Never.
That probably.
I do think it was, I don't know if this was just my experience, but I thought it was cool that as the days progress, Ellie becomes more profane with her language. Because in day one,
things are getting more hectic.
When you're killing people day one, I don't think she cursed. But by day two, you hear the F word a lot.
She said it every time for me. I don't know. I don't really remember
maybe
it.
It's just in my head. But I'm playing through it a second time.
Right.
And at least through luck or intention, day one, no swearing. Day two, you shoot somebody in the head, there's a swear word.
Oh snap! You jerk face.
Which is that's cool. That's a cool storytelling piece.
Okay.
Like
she's her anger's building. She's
really
getting
cool.
more tense. Whatever.
And there were times I'm like, okay, calm down. You're already murdering people. Like,
go ahead.
Did you ever point where like someone's pleading for their life?
I've heard that and I've seen it. I don't know if it ever happened with me.
It only happened once for me.
I don't. Let's just say I get my headshots. I don't leave them room.
I was just doing so much stealth. Oh, but we played differently.
Right. Well, I was doing stealth too, but if you stealth somebody, they ain't gonna live. They ain't gonna plead.
You didn't even notice Abby L1 holding down is slow, so I don't think you can say much about how stealthy you are compared to me. I'm a stealth
I'm
savant.
stealthing, man. Well, that was another
I
thing.
see
With
right
when
now,
it comes to the
stealth.
when it comes to the stealth, very well done. I do like that. Unlike other games, when you're in the grass and they walk right up to you, they just forget you exist. But here, they slowly realize you're there, regardless of whether you're just crouched down or even prone. And so I like that. I mean, it made it more annoying because I had to like really be careful because I was too reliant on that. But it was more realistic.
Did you ever play Phantom Pain, the Metal Gear?
No, I did not.
I would say it's
Ground Zeroes. It was free on Plus.
Engine and everything.
Right.
So I would say it is second place. Last of Us Part 2 is second place to Metal Gear in terms of like the versatility and how you can handle scenarios.
Okay.
How would you have felt about a move body mechanic?
That would have been nice for sure. But
They're kind of heavy.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Abby would do it a little more easily, probably.
Should be grunting and moving and, be causing more attention, so.
Because I was playing with my wife, and it never occurred to me. It probably did, but I just moved on from it. But she's like, why can't you just move the body?
Be like, I mean, you can in Metal Gear.
She saw one cutscene of Metal Gear and was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
It was with the quiet lady who she has photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, that turned her off of that. But it's up there. It's one of the best in terms of like stealth to action gameplay there.
I know, I liked all of it. Like even like and man, it was really brutal. Like anytime you stealth someone, like as Ellie or even Abby or whatever, just like that blood squirt and like yeah, it would like squirt out, man, like a little fountain, like a little spurt
between shelves, and you're like, man,
well,
that's blood.
Well, the thing with that is it was so noticeable because they did this weird effect where depending on how you killed them, you would hear like the wind escape from the neck and like mix with water.
You have much better audio.
Yeah, but I can't imagine it was only based on my audio because like there's no way that isn't noticeable to other people.
A lot of people.
And you never noticed it.
And that's not
no, it's sick. I'm not gonna lie, it's gross.
I like these characters less.
But that's the whole point. Like that's how brutal this world is. Like you hear like, I guess maybe it is my sound system. I don't know.
What was your opinion of the Stalkers? Okay, first real quick before we get to the Stalkers, I'm playing through it again now, and what's the difference between a bloater and a shambler?
Apparently, the shamblers,
shorter?
What?
They're shorter?
Well, yeah, they look shorter, but it was like almost it was burning, whereas the bloaters was like a poison.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's the same thing to me.
It felt very, because I just killed my last played with my wife yesterday. We did that arcade area.
Yeah.
Where we. Was
it a shambler you're fighting there, or was that a bloater?
I think it was a bloater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she says effing bloaters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We don't want to put the explicit tag on here, so I'm
right.
censoring myself.
Of course.
Because, day 3, Max Ellie cursing.
Right.
But you're saying the difference between those two enemy types is a little minimal?
Yeah, very minimal. Okay. I didn't really notice the difference. Definitely uglier, the shamblers.
I just wasn't sure I was missing something. Now, the Stalkers.
Boy. Them Stalkers, man, were the most annoying enemy in that game. Is that...
In terms of design, or you're fighting?
Fighting them.
Okay.
They just kept running away. And, like, no matter how hard I tried to shoot them as they're running, like, I don't know if they purposely have a mechanic where it's really hard to follow them. Because they
you
really...
can't hear them.
Yeah, that too. You can't even hear them.
Cool,
and I'm like...
They did that. I wish there was...
What, different enemy types that had that?
What if they did just combine Resident Evil 2's Mr. X? Throw that in there?
Well, they definitely had some Resident Evil thing going on in that hospital.
We'll get to that. Maybe we need to write that down. Cause
I think I paused the game when that happened. I'm like, oh my god. I'm playing Resident Evil right now.
People keep calling him the Rat King.
Yeah, I don't know why they called him that. But that's an official name. Naughty Dog is calling him the Rat King. I don't know why. I missed something.
If you played Inside, I got some similar vibes.
Okay.
Do you recall?
I'm the one that told you to play Inside.
But you know what I'm referring to?
What, at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, of course.
Okay. It was like a copy.
No.
Oh,
No, it was whatever. It was inspired from a whole bunch of things.
I mean,
I'm sure.
I'm not saying it's a copy from.
Did you see how they? Did you see the behind the scenes of how they brought that mocap? Because that was mocapped.
From Mortal Kombat?
No, that was mocapped. How they did the Rat King. They literally strapped 3 guys together, and one of them was like upside down on the other guy's shoulder. It's really weird looking, but it's kind of impressive. I will.
Make sure you do that.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, what'd you call them? The stalkers. Yeah, it was not fun anytime I had to fight those guys.
The first time it was cool, but then like I just discovered, just shoot one, and then they all come running at you. You just take out a shotgun.
That wasn't the case for me. That's not how I would kill them. I would shoot them.
I would just be loud and they could come to me. I'm not looking for you.
It freaked me out because sometimes I'd forget the stalkers and get a mix with clickers. I'm like, oh, he's about to kill me with this bite, and then it was a stalker. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, they definitely look similar. That did trip me up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm playing it now with my wife, and like, really, all I needed to do was, all right, shoot so they hear me. They'll run, and they'll all run at me.
That's weird. That didn't happen with me. Maybe because your accessibility things that I don't know.
All I did was tick the resources up to make it. To have her not watch me open cabinets for an extra 3 hours. Because we got through all of Ellie's first 3 days. We're on, I think I told you this off the recording, but we are at the point where we're at the zoo flashback after Ellie's day 3.
Okay.
And you save so much time with that resources checked up a little bit.
Okay.
Like, because we're up to that point and we're only 10 hours in. And I feel like another 10 hours we're good, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's
even itself. But like, there's a lot of just digging through shelves.
Yeah,
that is maybe the least interesting part of the gameplay.
I mean, it's just necessary. It's like if you put in time to look through those shelves and look through whatever shelves, cupboards, all that stuff, you'll find the resources you need to make that experience smoother.
Oh, like those trip mines you didn't.
Yeah.
Never use.
Yeah, the trip mines.
I always like trip myself up though. I think
with the mines.
Yeah, I think with the mines, I've more often blown myself up by being too close to them.
Oh, so you can set them off yourself?
You can.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe
when the enemy sets it off and you're too close.
I think it's just I'm not preparing quickly enough. I'm like, oh, he's gonna walk here, and I put it down like, okay, he's here, and I'm too close. Like the amount of times that has happened is frequent. So I do wish I was a little better at being
thinking ahead,
perceptive.
Okay.
Ahead of time. But as we were saying, too much looking into shelves. Like you said, you got to tighten this game up a little bit.
I wouldn't say that's the...
Could have had less of that.
Sure. Yeah, at least
and the resources, bumping that up in the accessibility options helps.
Okay.
Like, if you're going to play this game again, which I'm assuming you're going to do, I would tick that up. Maybe even more. Because I still find myself, like... being low, because I'm not just looking through everything, because I'm trying to make it an enjoyable experience for my wife to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
So I recommend second playthrough, bump that up.
Yeah, I might.
And you keep all your weapons too. I try to avoid that silenced machine gun though.
Why?
It feels like cheating.
Oh man, come on.
And especially in like, because you have it. I think as soon as you hit day 1, you have that for New Game Plus.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because you have already.
Yeah, and it kind of it makes it too easy.
Okay.
Because you can not, like you're talking about. Oh, I'm good with my headshots and everything. You don't need to be as good with that weapon.
Right. Well, if you shoot once and then you're there reloading, you can be like, "Hey, Enrique, we got people here," and then.
I've run into a lot of Ians actually.
Okay.
A lot of, and I don't ever notice it. But my wife's like, "That's the third Ian you've killed." By Ellie Day 2.
Okay. I don't know why this is a weird segue. Whatever. I'm bringing up something new here. What did you think of the adult content in this game?
The awkward sex?
That and the photograph you find. Because to me, as a avid Naughty Dog player...
was really confused. You're avid naughty... but okay.
as an avid naughty person,
someone who looks at a lot of pictures,
I get nothing for Christmas
online.
I was surprised that they did it. And
in the picture of the friend, Laura is her name, maybe.
Probably.
It's the one you find in the radio station.
Yeah, but the fact that that's even implied, I mean,
what's in that picture?
Her breast?
Is it?
I believe so.
I could have sworn it was just a bra.
No, her boob was out.
Really? I guess I didn't look closely,
but
though.
I believe it was.
You are an avid naughty fan.
I sure am, and I believe though the way they had it, there was always a shine on that specific, like the nipple region. So I was like, wow, they're getting really close. But I'm like, okay, but they usually held back. But then the Abby with Owen scene comes up, and I was like, whoa, I was not expecting to see that. And out of all the characters of who they would, very surprised it was Abby that they chose to I guess Naughty Dog, if I'm not mistaken. That's the first.
You can't do that with Ellie.
Well, no, yeah, that's true. But I mean, Dina was there. I don't know. I'm not saying choose other people, but I was like, wow, they did it, and it was surprising, and it was, for someone that's not used to to seeing that body type, it was kind of, it was a little strange for me, but they did it. Well, I was very impressed.
You're not looking at the right website, sir.
I guess not.
No,
now you send me those later, and I'll send you the Rat King.
I definitely found myself thinking. People went into this thinking because there was so much drama about a trans character. People were thinking Abby was trans.
Yeah.
And I sort of had that perspective. Like, what would a person who thinks she's trans start thinking? Because there's a point, I believe it's before that scene, maybe an hour or two before, where Abby and Owen are hinting that they're gonna get it on a little bit in the aquarium.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, and she doesn't give an explanation really as to why. So I'm like, I wonder how many people thought, oh, it's because Owen doesn't know she's transgendered. And I definitely.
Wait, do you know the explanation why though? Right? Why she said no?
I figured it out. With it took me longer to figure it out. Just I'm like, well, why'd she turn him down? But,
why?
Because their relationship's on the rocks. Doesn't feel.
No, man. You talking about when in that flashback when they started off in that Ferris wheel, jumped off, and he's like, I gotta show you something. Yeah, that first time?
Probably that.
No, man, because she's obsessed with Joel. She's like, no, I gotta go train. She was already
she's Goku then.
She's Goku, sure. She definitely gets his arms by the end of it.
I don't.
That's.
I don't recall that.
That is what it is. She said it a couple times. Like, no, I gotta get back. Like, no, I gotta keep training.
Okay.
And she wasn't as swole at that point, but she was. That was little jabs here and there showing her determination. What led her to get to become the beast that she was. Because man, when right before that the sex scene did happen, that was a crazy scene. Like them talking in the boat, and they get into that fight, and just to see her dominate him, as she's such a much more imposing figure to the guy, because she pinned him down, and her arms are twice the size of his. So that was.
So imagine how much bigger that one lady was as she bit the ear off of.
God, that that oaf. Yeah, I remember. No one was talking about her being trans. What's going on? People are dumb. But anyways, I would just ultimately the fact that they chose to have that scene their first foray into adult scenes like that. I feel like it was handled well and unexpectedly. I think that's ultimately what I want to say when it comes to that. Just something to think of. Not a huge part of the game. It was just surprising to me because again, I play all their stuff, at least more recent stuff, and just to see them dip into that was kind of interesting, and how they handled it, which was done well. Now bringing up Owen, everything. These side characters, we haven't talked enough about all the side people.
Why do you not like Mel?
Yo,
Mel's fine.
No,
she's got problems.
She definitely ain't fine, and she can.
What's wrong with Mel?
She can
I'm
go
fine
away.
with her.
I don't like Mel.
Why? She's perfectly justified in her dislike for Abby.
Oh no.
So then, and she was
I agree
the
with
only
her.
one really giving Abby crap for killing Joel.
She's just such a boring. She reminded me of just someone who's always nagging. I don't know.
She
I
wasn't.
can't think of it, of examples, which is a terrible argument for my argument, because it, like I said, it's been a couple weeks. I think actually, pretty sure it's been a month now since I beat it, or since I played it. So I don't have it fresh in my mind. But there was just something about Mel that rubbed me the wrong way, and obviously it sucks that she died, especially being heavily pregnant. But I could care less about Mel. Tell you right now. You saying you don't like Owen that much?
I couldn't care less.
No, I could care less.
See, Abby would fix that because she had some deep English literature in her bunk. She would fix that grammar for you.
I don't recall what you were talking about.
Did you not look around her room when you had the option?
Not as much as I probably should have, because apparently I should have done that in Ellie's room and in Joel's room, and I missed a lot of stuff. There's like PS3s everywhere. There's the little robot that would belong to Henry.
Who's Henry?
The brothers that you meet in the first game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the little robot she picked up because the brother wouldn't let him have it.
Mm-hmm.
You remember?
Yeah.
Okay. She has that in her room somewhere, or in her house. So that was kind of neat, and I missed it. And I was like, man, if I would have seen that myself, that would have been so cool.
Oh, there's a lot of PS3s.
There's a lot of PS3s.
There's one Vita.
There's 2 Vitas.
Is there a second?
Oh, wait, maybe in the flashback. No, it's the same lady has the Vita, I think. No, it was a dude playing the Vita a second time. You see the girl that you kill.
Uh-huh. You see her twice.
Yeah, in the flashback, and then when you actually kill her, and then so obviously the same Vita. But there's another dude playing a Vita in that community. When you wake up as Abby in the WLF stadium arena, I think you find out it's like a football stadium or something. In there's some dude playing it. The same game actually.
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah.
It,
anyways, a lot of.
Oh wait, yeah, I remember now. What was he playing?
I think she even talks to him. No, it's Hotline Miami also.
Was it Hotline Miami? I
Yeah.
could have sworn it was something else. I could have sworn it was like it was.
Man,
I didn't know what it was.
this Uncharted Golden Abyss is really difficult.
No, I don't. Okay.
Oh wait, that's not Naughty
This
Dog. Okay.
We don't need to go into this too deeply.
Okay.
I don't think it adds much. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't Hotline Miami. The lady playing it, yes, but the guy was not.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the same game.
I mean, did you ever play Hotline Miami?
No.
Great music.
That's what I hear.
I have some of it on my phone right now. You want me to play it?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Get copyright. Okay, so that's my opinion, Mel. You say you didn't like Owen that much.
No, he's fine.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I'm like, oh man, I want to hang out with Owen. But I'm like, as a character, like, there's.
I mean, there's some good in him, obviously.
I feel like I know Owen and Mel. Well, maybe not Mel. I feel like I know Owen more than Ellie.
You see how I'm not agreeing with you with any of this, right? Like you don't see me interject.
Please tell me about Ellie as a person.
We're done talking about that.
Okay.
We're in the side characters. This thing's gonna be more than 4 hours long. Conveniently, the game is enough to say.
The game.
You gotta play the game then
she's
if
an
you want to know about Ellie.
woman.
Yeah.
That's not a character.
Yeah,
That's
is.
just
I just played as her.
That's just.
Oh my god!
I'm
All right, tell me
playing
about.
Gears
Man,
of War
I don't want to
2.
get in this with you.
I'm Marcus Phoenix. I'm Ellie. Is the same person.
You're
That's not
so
'cause
incorrect.
Marcus Phoenix has some depth.
Yeah, it's physical, sure.
Oh, he does for sure. When
Yeah.
you take off the do-rag.
Anyways, staying on track here because someone has to. I forgot if we touched upon this earlier. Dina,
Side characters.
what'd you think of Dina?
No, I want to hang out with Dina.
She's cool, right? She seems nice enough. I like that she got into the snowball fight. Dropping too many swears around these kids, but I guess that's life in Jackson. Whatever. There's a pandemic, or well, kind of. So I guess it's not too important. But yeah, she seems nice. And then obviously when in the future, I was so scared. I was legit scared Abby was gonna kill her. When she's like, wait, she's pregnant. She's like, good. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, I got like tensed up. And thankfully,
she's like,
Lev set her straight. I'd be like, nah.
Lev and Dina are the only minorities to make it through this game.
What is Dina? I mean, she's Jewish, but is that considered a minority?
Yeah, dude, there's so much nonsense going around right now.
And that Nick Cannon.
Yeah. Which, as Hispanic men, we probably don't like
right
into that so much. But
yeah,
I mean, if I think it's safe to say we can call people of Jewish faith and everything minorities.
Right. Okay. I mean, Tommy.
You know what?
His role in the game.
Ellie has more character depth than Tommy. I feel like I don't know Tommy that well either. I think it would be cool if they did something with him, like in a DLC, which they've said they don't plan on doing.
Right. I think they said that for the first game, though.
Some more Tommy would be good, just so I could get a feel for him a little better. It's great, though. Okay, yeah. Did you, when you get into that sniper section,
okay,
when did you figure out it was Tommy?
Oh, like about halfway into it, I'm like...
Yeah, same here. I was excited.
Yeah, I was like...
Oh.
Like, I remember, like, who is this good shot? And she kept saying, like, who is this person? He's really good. And I'm like, I just did this flashback. This is Tommy. Tommy taught me how to shoot this good. So that makes sense. So, yeah, I figured it out.
I thought that was really cool. And it makes you really hate that guy before you know who he is. And then you're like, oh, wait, that's Tommy. And you feel that conflicted, like...
Yeah, that this game does so well various times. Both in story and in gameplay. When you're...
Notice it does that with Abby. Ellie, there's a little less confliction.
Nope. Because when I'm as Abby, I do not want to hurt Ellie. So that just cancels what you just said. But anyways, it's okay to admit it. But all right. What about Jesse?
The other dead minority.
Correct.
Yeah. He's just a cool guy.
He was cool, man.
Just a cool guy. I feel like a lot of the, I don't know who else is on your list here, but a lot of these are just like, yeah, they're cool. And for spending 30 hours in this game, you'd think I'd know them. I'd feel stronger. And I was definitely like, oh no, Jesse. But especially on this repeat playthrough, like you just learn that Jesse's just he's a good guy.
He's a good guy, man.
Yeah.
Remind me of Glenn. I mean, obviously, in appearance, but he just had this really cool, chilled back, like not like a superhero braveness, but he was just like, let's do this.
Everybody likes Jesse. Yeah, that's the impression you get of him.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like Jesse and you're in Jackson, you must not be a good person.
Yeah, well, Dina liked Jesse. By the way, I forgot if I asked you this. Do you know what the kid's name was?
JJ?
You know what it was for?
It's his dad, Junior.
Nope.
Is it Joel?
Jesse and Joel. 2 J's. But that was kind of cool.
I mean...
That's kind of cool. Come on. Huh?
Where does it say that?
I don't know. I forgot.
That means nothing.
No, I'm pretty...
Jesse Jr.
I don't know where I saw it, but I remember thinking...
Game facts.
It was from a relatively reputable source.
Oh, the IGN comments section.
No, definitely not there. But I remember thinking, and I remember like I exited out of the article, and I was like, I'm gonna bring this up to the cast, and I'm like, crap, where was it from? I can't source it anymore, and I haven't been able to find it. I mean, I haven't really looked, to be honest, but just something to throw in there. But Jesse was cool. I would have liked to have seen more of him. I'm not the only one that feels that way. A buddy of mine from work was mentioning he was sad that he didn't get to learn more about a lot of the side characters, Jesse being the main one that he was really interested in learning. And he's like, I wouldn't even mind a DLC of just him, or not just him, but like have more of him.
Which is such a weird feeling because, like I've been saying, you spend a lot of time in this game, and I guess they always leave you wanting more, which is something good for that. But
yeah,
I just feel like, again, 30 hours in, and they try to just do so much that I think it takes time away from some of them characters. I would have liked more of the... there's plenty of time where Ellie's alone, and I think that those games are kind of at their best when you got someone to talk to when you're
of course
running around.
Yeah.
That day 3 with Jesse goes by quick.
Yeah. That was day 3?
Yeah.
Jeez. You sure? Okay.
I just played it.
That was another thing I was... Now that we mentioned that, I guess... Is there any other side characters you wanted to mention before I move on? Because obviously there was like all the... I don't care about Maria.
You didn't say anything about Yev or Laura.
What, you Lev?
I said Yev and Laura.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Lev and Yara.
It's late,
Where
man.
are they on the list?
I was going to mention Yara because I know we've only been talking about Lev, obviously, because he lasted a little longer in the story. She was cool. I was sad that she went.
Yeah, but then she comes back to life and shoots Isaac.
Well, yeah, she wasn't completely dead yet. That was a cool scene.
Yeah, it's cool. When you think about it a little too much, it's like, how did she pull that off? Yeah, but it's cool.
That's super strength.
Isaac too.
Yeah.
I learned more about Isaac through the wanted posters in the game, which is cool that that's there.
Right.
Because I didn't get that in the first playthrough.
Well, that was the thing too. I was really confused with all like the stuff I was picking up, and there was a lot of like, man, I ran into Isaac again today. So they really had him built up, and it's sad that
I had forgotten
especially
about that by then.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's the game is so packed. It's so long and packed. Like
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, like the opening section of that game, like you got to remember a lot of the callbacks by the end because the game decides, oh, we're going to show you that party from the beginning. There's a lot of requests from the developers again. Like, hey, something you heard 25 hours ago is going to come up here, and it's not done in like a Harry Potter way.
Okay.
Where it comes into like, yo, that's how you know. I don't want to put Harry Potter spoilers on this, but
people still watching them, man. You gotta.
Hey, you can't even spoil Final Fantasy VII now because.
That's true. I haven't played it yet.
There's news of the second part.
I know.
I'm excited. Anyway, that's not why we're here.
That's not why we're here. No.
I'll do a Spoilercast for that though.
Well, let me borrow it. I gotta be Ghost of Tsushima.
You it, and you're like, I played Days. I gotta get all these trophies in Days Gone.
That's a decent game.
Which you didn't do. I
was gonna get a platinum.
That's what you said you were gonna do, though.
I was gonna attempt the platinum, and then I realized what I had to do. I was like, nah. Okay, so that's pretty much it for all the side characters, I guess. Yara was cool. Wanted to see more of her. Sad she had to go away. Isaac was cool. Wish I could see more of him. But like you said earlier, a lot already in the game. Kind of probably would have dragged on the game even further.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, and I'm not sure how you solve it.
Yeah, it's tough. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why
less encounters, I guess, more cutscenes.
Yeah, but then people will be complaining about less gameplay, and it's more of a.
Go play.
People complain a lot.
Go play Heavy Rain. See
present party included, but they got chill the roll a little bit.
People complain about what?
Just a lot about the game.
It's worthy of critical look.
No, that's good. I mean, the fact that we're able to be in this podcast,
over 2.5 hours,
over 2.5 hours now, and still got more to say is impressive. Is an impressive feat. In itself, but crap. I was thinking of what was I gonna say earlier.
Well,
we're probably gonna have to edit this out.
No. While you are looking for that, I do have a question.
Darn it! Well, hold on. I want to get because I was talking about the side characters, and it made me think of something. What was I thinking of? Lev, Yara, Tommy, Steven.
Who's Steven?
Well, I'm sorry. I was looking at the actor's name that does Jesse. Oh. Or someone. I don't know. Someone out here. Crap.
Well, in the meantime, while you're looking,
okay,
I have played that Ellie version of Take On Me.
Oh yeah.
For my own daughter. She's swaying. She's enjoying that.
Okay.
When I figured out what song she was singing, I was like, dang, this is so good.
Yeah.
With such a stupid in a good way, but such a stupid song. And she made it sound so beautiful.
Yeah, man. I guess that's a topic we can touch on. The moments of serenity in this game. That being one of them. Obviously, Joel singing to Ellie in the beginning, very endearing.
Was it endearing?
I think so. Because it was him obviously coming to Ellie. She's
like, stay away from me, man.
Exactly. She's in this weird mood because she's still a little unsure about him and whatever. She's kind of living her own. He feels obviously awkward that he's not with her 24/7 as he used to be. So he's just coming in and checking on her and all that stuff. And then to bear his soul out like that, like for her, and really pretty much to let her know how he feels, but in song form, it was a really sweet moment. And obviously, like you said, the Take On Me moment, I mean, come on, man. That was so good.
Rewind. because I want to end positive.
Because it's
on this
that
topic.
good, you want to rewind it and
Joel's
play it over.
song,
Okay.
you'll notice it's all I. If I ever were to lose you, like it's all about him. Like,
Yeah.
he's a selfish dude.
We know this.
I know, but like, and then Ellie's like, just get away from me, and she liked it. And at the time, I was like, yeah, but if you look at those lyrics, it's definitely like, it's all about him.
Yeah, you just like
So it's
to,
not about her.
you just pick apart everything, huh?
Well, that's my job.
No, it ain't.
Yeah, we're here to have a discussion, not a Naughty Dog is great, perfect,
Boy,
10 out of 10, 5 out of 5.
wait till we get into Castlevania, the show on Netflix, and review.
Did you watch season 3?
No,
Just get
I
through.
couldn't get through too.
No, yes you could. Season
Shoot,
3?
I can't wait to have that be my job of what I think about that freaking show.
I mean,
Cool fights.
season, listen,
Anyways.
season 3.
I don't know, man.
Just, you made it this far.
I sure did.
Yeah, just finish it.
We'll see.
Dude.
All right,
dude,
anyways.
There's a part
No,
that you just need
we're
to know
not here
about.
for that. We're not here for that. Okay.
That song was
well,
selfish.
I guess I can. Oh, jeez, sorry.
The song was selfish, but Ellie's take on me.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was so good. Okay, that's. I think
This is me trying to generate this spoiler cast into something positive because ultimately
I'm
we're both
totally
positive on
positive.
this game, and you are
I'm just talking about
destroying
how great-
every single thing I
how
bring
great
up.
that moment was when she starts singing. I still play that for
I'm
my
still
daughter.
waiting you to be like, man, what a great song. Sucks she couldn't come up with one on her own though. She had to rip off. Who
I mean, where did she
Uh-huh.
encounter? I'm wondering how she encountered that song. Like, do you think Joel taught her that song? He's like, hey,
Yep.
I got a great cover. Or was he like, listen to this? And she's like, well, I can fix this. How did she decide on taking that song in that
we
direction?
don't know, and we don't need to know. It doesn't matter.
Oh, well, you're wondering where Ellie went at the end. How'd she make that song?
This podcast's gonna go forever. You keep bringing up points like this.
You could just say it now, and then it'll
No,
end.
I'd rather talk about how much more time you're wasting, and then eventually answer your question
I mean,
to
the
waste even
time
more
you
time.
spent complaining,
Exactly.
You could have just
That's
said,
exactly what I'm saying.
You could have just said an answer.
Joel taught her.
That's probably the best.
That's it.
That might be my favorite part of this game. So I think it warrants discussion.
I don't think there's much to discuss. It was just great. Is there anything more you want to add to that scene? Because I was gonna shift on to the next scene that I think we've kind of skipped over and just briefly mentioned.
Go for it.
The museum. You talking about how terrible Joel is. This is
He's a good dad.
This is
He's
the
a good dad for her and Sarah.
well. Guess what?
Her-
Being a
his-
dad is
his
part of being a person.
Biological daughter.
So
It is
kind of
And
proving you wrong here. But anyways, so we get
are
to
you
this
proving
museum
wrong?
that you keep saying he's terrible.
Bad people can be good parents.
Sure.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with what I just said.
All right. Whatever. But he's not a bad person. Okay. So when you get into this museum scene,
Doctors.
all right, man. You gonna let me talk?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay. You are though. A lot. You get to this museum scene, and this is all I wanted. This scene, more of this, all of more of Last of Us Part 1 in here. So obviously, I think you're still playing as Ellie in this part though, right? I believe. Yeah, because you climbed the dinosaur. Did you climb the dinosaur?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you not? Can you get through that section?
Yeah, you don't have to.
Oh.
Yeah, I just.
Well, he walks. Okay, I didn't. I did it. Second playthrough, I did it too.
Okay.
I want to climb a dinosaur.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know. Just the whole
cool as
scene.
heck.
The whole scene was just really cool and very sweet, and you can see like all the thought that he put into this reveal for her birthday. And terrible people don't do that. So
That's not.
Abby
true.
never did this. That's all I'm saying. Owen took her to the
I
aquarium.
know.
That's it. Anyways, did you put the hat on Joel? That's
Yeah, I did.
ultimately the okay. Good.
I
Then
got a
I
trophy.
guess you're not too bad then.
No, I interact with everything. You know how much time I spent in front of the mirror?
The mirror.
Do you in the bathroom in the museum? Did you go in the bathroom? Oh my god!
I think so.
You talk about how much of a fan you are.
I guess
Okay,
not.
there's a part
Dang,
in
I
the
suck.
museum,
Okay.
and it's so unnecessary. There's a part in the museum where there's a mirror, and you can just move Ellie's face around in the mirror. and she's like making duck faces, and you can control her eyes.
Farts. I missed it.
I think you control her head and then her face, so you can just kind of just.
Wait, the game gives you the option to control it?
Yeah, I spent so much time.
You're making this up.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
In the comments, to tell him he's wrong. Tell Felipe he's wrong.
Yeah, all 6 of you listening, just
16. Anyway.
If you made it this far.
If
you made it this far into the spoiler cast, type in what's around me?
Feet.
Type in feet.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Then the comments are gonna be
feet
weird.
With EAT. Like,
okay.
That was a great feat.
Featuring.
So to get this far in the podcast is a great feat.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So FEAT.
Yeah. FEAT.
Anyway, you can do that in
that's
the bathroom.
Cool.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then you get done, and then Joel's like, you done yet? not like so like aggressive. He's like, you done, kiddo? But then you can get a second hat.
No. Wait, no. You talking about the helmet?
No. Oh my god. So you put all the hats on the dinosaurs. Then Joel gets a hat, and you can get, and then before you go up the stairs where he puts the hat on the Brachiosaurus, I think.
Yeah.
There's another hat, and then you can put that one on.
What? No.
So then I went to the bathroom again. I spent like 5 minutes looking in the mirror, making faces, and I was like, "That's cool."
Okay.
That's
well, dang. I guess
quality 4K HDR. Over
yeah,
there.
boy, about time. Well, that's cool. That great. That means the next time I replay, I got something to look forward to. Because that scene was great. And then obviously it tying back with that one thing Ellie said in game 1. She's like, "I like to be an astronaut." Just once. She said it.
I don't remember that.
Oh, really?
I haven't played Last of Us.
Okay, well, I had recalled. So then when we walked into the space area, she's like, "You remembered," and I was like, "I didn't. What are you talking about?"
Don't remember things.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Only good people remember things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're getting it, man. All right. Anyways, it took me a while, but then once I saw like the actual like space stuff, I'm like, "Oh, no way that they actually brought this back." To like the one again, a throwaway line. I who knows if it's even. I guess it's possible to hear it every single time. Regardless, very cool. That's all.
There was a clawback in clawback. Jeez, there was a clawback in the beginning of that scene where she's trying to guess what Joel has for her, and she's like, "Is it a dinosaur?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why are you trying to guess, kiddo?" He says "kiddo" a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just my head.
Yeah,
but did you recognize that line from anywhere? Because in Left Behind, the Ellie DLC for one, I forget what's her friend's name? Whatever. Her friend who...
Darn it. Can't think of it.
And I've played it twice in the last month. But
Rachel.
She's taking her down to like towards the mall area, and she's like, "I got a surprise for you." And Ellie's like, "Is it a dinosaur?" And I was like, "Oh, that's cool," because I just played Left Behind before too.
See, I didn't play Left Behind right before. I didn't think it would have anything to do. Darn.
I'm like, that's a cool little...
Yeah.
And also, she hates puns. Ellie likes puns in Left Behind. There's that pun book.
Right.
And then there's like puns Dina tells her or something.
Oh,
and she's
yeah.
Like, I don't remember. There was just puns.
Yeah, I got you. I remember.
This is effing stupid. I'm Batman now. I don't recall her line, but and then I think towards the end she starts liking puns again.
Okay.
I feel like in the epilogue that happens.
Well,
so the more Ellie wants to kill, the less she likes puns is what I've determined.
Well, I'm sure that's not the there's a time and place for puns. Anyways, the museum scene was cool. Ending with the rocket.
It wasn't very cold. Oh my god! You get it because it was cool.
No. Ending with the rocket and the way it was emulated to look like the Left Behind scene when she's playing the arcade. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. But did you
that
recall that as it was happening? Yeah. As you're like, oh, this is like the Left Behind
thing. Hit QuickTime events, so I guess I didn't get the connection in that way.
Oh. That's the way I saw it, because her eyes were closed, and then you see the stuff that actually isn't happening on her face, as if it were. I missed it, but apparently, if you look in her glare on the helmet, you see like those switches that were all over the place. They're actually lit up.
I forgot. I had I saved some video. That scene got a little ruined for me because when Ellie threw her backpack into the spaceship, her keychain started freaking out.
Oh no!
So like, there's like a purple little animal or something on her keychain.
Yeah.
And when she threw the the bag in, it just started like spiraling around everywhere, and it was like going through her arm and everything.
Yeah.
So that
Oh,
may
no.
have took me out of the moment just a little bit.
Okay.
I also had a weird moment with Abby where I grabbed one of the sledgehammers, but then I was able to grab another weapon. I didn't realize I had a weapon already. So like I just had a sledgehammer attached to her arm like a Wolverine claw for quite some time.
Okay.
I have video of it.
Okay, good.
I can send it your way.
Yes.
But
Don't forget them websites.
for some of the area where you are, I think it was the whole area where Abby's dealing with her fear of heights and everything.
Yeah.
I had like a giant sledgehammer
Nice.
coming out of like her elbow to along with her arm.
Okay. But it obviously extended past her arm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was great because when she gives Lev the gas mask, she's like not, like it doesn't obviously detect it. But
Well,
it looks
of course.
like she whacks him in the face, and then when she gives him the gas mask, and then the gas mask was connected to the sledgehammer, so he just had a gas mask with a sledgehammer sticking out like a unicorn horn.
Why haven't you put this out into
forgot.
the ether, dude? That'd get some views.
You know, it's possible I'm remembering it slightly wrong.
No.
But I do have video of it, and I gotta send it to you because it was hilarious.
Tomorrow comes. So there was no sledgehammer.
No. It definitely happened.
Okay.
Because I was like, I was so annoyed you were taking so long to play this game and beat it because I was like several hours ahead of you, and I was like, I can't send it. I don't want him to know he plays as Abby.
Gotcha.
So I that's why I didn't send it at that time. But yeah, the spaceship scene was cool, but the keychain did throw me off just a tad. I still like could recognize its artistic beauty and everything, but I definitely was a little taken out of that. No fault of the developers there. It's just
Right.
I saw it again the other day with my wife, and
Okay. Better
cool.
second time.
Yeah, it was better the second time.
Okay.
Definitely, I would recommend watching any good glitches, the visual bugs that this game might give you, because it just looks so like, I think the term is uncanny valley, because it looks so good and it's like
Yeah, and you see that.
just one little bit wrong. There's a certain novelty to seeing that.
Okay. You said you had some stuff to add that we didn't discuss previous.
I've interspersed it.
Oh, you have?
throughout. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Try to be all natural. Well, okay. How about that? That's my only other point. Where does Rat King? Where's that name come from? Why are we calling him Rat King?
I don't know. It has been used by Naughty Dog though in their posts when they posted that mocap thing. So I don't know. I really don't know. It must have been something that was said, maybe
Internal.
Yeah, no, like I think probably in the game.
Okay.
I want to say it might have been like a note or something like. There's a
People need more paper because they keep writing on the back of paper. Like get another sheet.
Did you find Drake's ring?
I did.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was another I was gonna send you that, and then I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait. I asked my wife, I'm like, so does this mean that Nathan Drake is in this universe?
That's what I told Tara.
And she's like, no, because why would he put it in a bank? and that made me feel better because I remember there was what was in Last of Us 1? There was an Uncharted reference in there as well.
Well, there was the board game, Uncharted the board game.
Something else though. I thought it was, or no, maybe it was in Uncharted 4 or 3. There was a.
It was a Last of Us newspaper.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I don't want them.
Uncharted 3.
No, don't Nathan.
No,
that.
that's just a little Easter egg.
I know, but Nathan doesn't need that. He got enough going on. Of all the Drakes out there that I know, he's the most deserving of only positivity.
Right.
He had to earn it though.
Oh, he
Some
definitely did.
problems.
Yeah. He kills more people than Alien Joel does. You like him just fine. But anyways.
Okay. No, I'm gonna start here. Who do you like better, Nathan Drake or Ellie?
You want me to be honest with that question?
Yeah.
Ellie.
Oh my, you're a liar.
What?
You're a liar. You're the biggest
Yeah,
liar.
no, I like
You're
Drake.
Okay. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I had 4 games with him. 5 games with him if you count going
Dude,
with
I
this.
played Last of Us 2. That's like 3 games in there.
Okay.
All right, who do you like better? Elena?
Don't make me choose
Elena
this.
or Ellie? Who's your favorite female Naughty Dog character?
Soft spot for Elena.
Okay. Dina or Cutter?
Nah, Dina was great. Dina is not getting the praise she deserves.
Eddie, Raja, or Owen? Okay.
I guess at this point we've pretty much said all we need to really say about the game. I'm sure we'll think of other stuff, but I think we've gone long enough. I guess to wrap it up, as it probably sounds like the opposite of what you just heard, but it seems we both are really high on the game.
Yeah. If it wasn't so,
contrary to whatever you were just talking about.
If it wasn't so good, I would not have as much to say.
I got you. Yeah, I agree.
The higher the bar, the more
there's more to discuss.
The more to critique, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of nitpicking going on here, but that just shows how much we're, invested in these characters or the story that was presented and all that stuff. We just really care about it, so there's definitely a lot more to talk about. So we ain't rating this, right? We're not gonna give it a score.
You like your 1 out of 10 scale.
Because that's the correct scale.
I think we know the scale you would use. I'm sorry, the number you would give on that scale.
Who, me?
Yeah.
You think you...
Could be.
You think you know what I want to give this game?
If you were to give it out of a 10,
mm-hmm.
You said masterpiece.
Yeah.
In 3 hours ago. So that implies 10, but I know you like your weird scale.
Right. Yeah, I like the 0.5. So 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5.
Wait, really? You like that?
That's the correct way to do it.
Wait, it's already out of 10. Why do you need the 0.5s? Okay.
I don't know.
So, what would you give it? I don't know if that
that doesn't sound
picks
good.
Up well on the
mic. The fan in me wants to give it a 10. I know it's not perfect, and I know that's not what 10 means.
Give it a 10. It's not going on Metacritic.
That's true.
If you want to give it
a 10.
I
might have to so I can offset this ridiculous scale they got. Okay. Overall, based on everything, regardless of all the nitpicks I have, regardless of like cutting certain stuff to make it shorter and tighter experience, ultimately I think is one of the best experiences I've had in gaming. And as a big fan of gaming, I can't just ignore that. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna give it a 10.
Now, you ready for the real score?
I just said it. If you're repeating it,
I'm gonna give you mine.
Okay.
We're gonna do this. It's on your
snap!
outline.
You gonna use mine?
No. I'm not gonna use it. So
wait,
I'm a fan of the 1 through 5 scale.
It leaves so much room for being wrong.
No.
Okay.
It's 1 is trash. 2 is like, hey, there's redeeming qualities. 3 is good. 4 is great. 5 is this is amazing.
Okay.
And I'm gonna preface by saying this.
Okay.
And it sort of reiterates from previous conversations, so I'm gonna speed it up.
Okay.
I think the online reaction to this game shows just how immature this medium is.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that this game should have happened a long time ago based on where the world is today, and it obviously hasn't. Or this sort of game that would elicit this reaction. So this is one of the growing pains of the business, a business I'm not involved in, but when it comes to this, it is what, as I said before, Spec Ops: The Line was trying to do. It's the only game to make me, other than like a Mass Effect kind of deal, but there's more to that. But it's the only game to make me want to put the controller down and be like, no, it's done. And there's something to say for that. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. It would be a 5 if they did not just request so much of your time and made it a tighter experience.
Okay.
I think some stronger character writing would have also propelled it to 5 and offset some of the length. If the character moments were with Ellie were stronger, I think 5. But I'm gonna say 4. Okay. It's something you should absolutely play though. If you're somehow listening to this and have not played it yet.
Yeah. What are you doing? Okay. Well, that's our thoughts on Last of Us Part 2. To reiterate, yeah, this is our first time kind of really doing it like this, doing a spoiler cast to this extent.
At Denny's, we did this. Like, just talked for 4 hours.
Yeah, but this is the first time it's on It's recorded. So, if you made it this far, thank you for listening.
Yeah, send the word feet.
Yeah.
EAT.
Well, now that they made it even further, I guess just put feet twice. Yeah, just do that.
That'll
spell it however you want. Yeah, just thanks for listening. If you have any criticisms or constructive criticisms, please let us know in the comments. I know this was kind of long. There's a lot to discuss here, and I know we kind of rambled at times. But, we'll work on it.
They saw a 3-hour plus video. They knew what they were going into.
That's true. Anything else you need to say?
Everybody, be cool to each other. I think that's a good
That's
sentiment.
it? Okay, yeah.
If The Last of Us taught us anything, it's just be cool, man.
Yeah, just be cool.
Just don't be a Eugene who narked on Joel.
Oh, God. Okay.
He had a Firefly necklace.
All right, everybody. We're not going to go back into this. Thank you for listening. Have a good one. Be good to each other.
Bye.
Bye.